Yo, hey, yo, what's up, baby? We'll let some of that artwork
What up?
Boy, Jesse, that's a good looking motherfucker back here, boy. Man,
I'm about to say that line going crazy.
Jesse looking good. Y'all tell me Morgan don't look like Stephanie McMahon.
She does. I saw you tweeting.
Morgan looks just like Stephanie McMahon. Yep, I got it.
Check one, check two. There
Yeah,
we go. We're better. I will say this though. Jesse in the picture with the lineup, it's not far off from real Jesse. You see him today on the meeting? You see how Chris that boy was looking with the line?
Yeah.
It's not that far off.
I got a good barber out in Modesto. I got a good one.
You know that you always know when Jesse was out in Modesto. You always know when he was out there. Yeah, sorry to the Brendan superhero. He got cut off there at the top.
Damn.
But shout out to the Marshall Harris appearance, Sarah Hodges, Jason Jones down there, Olivia in here. It's just some tremendous work, man.
Yeah, Chiron, that whole series was amazing, and then what he was able to do in this last one was phenomenal.
I did create another thing we could use later. We got time. I'll show you real quick. That right there, and we bring Jesse in here. Boom. So we could have that for with Jonathan.
Wow.
Or anytime we have a 3-screen, we could use that.
Yeah, I like that. That's dope. You see the corners on both sides. That's dope. Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah, man. I'd come with the chase today, man. I don't know if they're gonna be on for the whole show or not, but right now, yeah. About 125, and then I drove. So when I got to get back to Sacramento, 3:30. Jazz was like, "You could probably call D-Lo right now."
Yeah, not far off. Not far off. Bruh. I almost texted you this last night. I figured you was in the air. I was going to tell you, skip the game, skip show prep, skip all of that, and just
finale.
Watch.
I know what I'm doing tonight. Boy. I know tonight. I'm actually two episodes behind, so I got to catch up in a major way.
It was that shit. Oh, it's so good.
Damn.
I just noticed you had the new D-Lo and KCT on.
Yeah, man. I got notice that. You know that.
Yeah,
this one goes hard. This goes hard. I love it.
I think that was the most popular over on DLoandKC.com. Happy Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome in here to the October 24th edition of D-Lo and KC. I'm Damian Barling.
Acknowledge me.
He's back, and he's Kenny Caraway.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledge me.
That's cooked. He got cooked.
Adrian, you didn't go down like that, huh?
He got cooked.
I think Kenny might be talking about himself right now. He's got the glasses on. He had a long night traveling back from the island. Kingston Kenny, as he's been referred to.
More fire. Big ups. Bro.
Kofi Caraway, as he's been referred to the last few days. Oh man, we laugh to keep from being upset. 49ers lose this weekend in Christian McCaffrey's debut. Kings lose both games over the weekend. We'll dive into both of them. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not terribly surprised by both results. I didn't think the Sacramento Kings would be 0-3, but I didn't think they were going to get that one against the Warriors. When they lost on Saturday night, I had some hope like, this is going to be a tough turnaround. But we told you before you left, KC, that I had a feeling like the Warriors were going to take it to Mike a little bit. Like, hey, here's your ring, pal. We're going to hand you an ass whooping, and we'll dive into that game, man. And I don't know what to make of the end of it and the big run. true story. Fourth quarter, early in the fourth, I started writing today's show. Probably had about 2 hours and 45 minutes of today's show laid out when they got within 4 and thought, okay, I will gladly start this whole process over for them to get a win. But it was one of those things where I never thought they were going to do it. Like,
so let me ask you, full transparency. Like I do my homework. I'm going to go back and do my homework. I was in the air when all that happened. And shout out to JetBlue. They got Wi-Fi and all this other stuff, and it worked like a charm on the way there. I watched like the whole season of Atlanta so far. Like it was great. And for whatever reason, it didn't want to work on the way back, so I couldn't watch the second half. And I just gave up and went to sleep because I had a lot more to do. Were starters involved in this comeback?
No.
See, that's what I figured.
No, I mean, some were, but there was a lot of, it was one of those things where
starters on either
up.
side.
No. Oh, definitely not.
See, yeah.
Oh, no, definitely not. Yeah. No, Steph came back in with about 4 and some change. 4 minutes. That's where it got maybe a little less than that. That's where it had gotten pretty tight. And he came in, he took a 3 like right out the gate to try to, like, he hits that 3, like all hope is like shot, but he missed it. But the Kings couldn't convert. Like, I think Malik shot a 3 after that, would have cut the lead to 1. He didn't hit it. They had a couple of opportunities to get closer and closer and closer. It's not like the Warriors called timeout. Steph came back in, the starters came back in and just started hitting on all cylinders. Like, the Kings just couldn't close. Like, they couldn't hit shots down that stretch. And it resulted in what we saw, a ridiculously high scoring game where the Kings lose 130 to 125, down most of that game by double digits at the very least.
It's funny because I did get to see the first half. I was watching the first half while I was waiting to get on this plane. And obviously you give up 89 points in the first half. You're going to have some jokes and you're going to have people upset. Davion, tell me if I'm wrong. I kind of thought it was the flow of the game. I thought there was a lot of shot making on both sides in that first half. I mean, the Warriors gave up 71.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it wasn't a whole lot of like people just drive by, get layup and all this other stuff. I thought both teams, for the most part, and obviously the Warriors more than the Kings, and it also helped that the Warriors, and this is a bad look on the defensive end, the Warriors were in the penalty with like 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. So I'm not trying to completely stall out the defense a little bit, but I thought the Warriors were making shots. I thought the Kings were making shots. I thought it was relatively good offense by both teams in that first half.
So it was a little bit of everything. I'm with you in the sense that I wasn't. The 89, I think what was jarring, because it was 39 to 36 at the end of 1.
Right.
That's a lot of points right there. Like that, like that's not a lot of points. The jarring part is they gave up 50 in the second quarter. Like, that's where, okay. But when you look at it in full context, Steph literally hit every shot that he took. At least that's how it felt. And he took a lot of them. And flow of the game, maybe I would look at it more like when the Kings attempted to play defense, they were called for a foul.
Oh my gosh.
So it was kind of like pick your poison. Are you going to back off and allow them to have maybe a slightly less uncontested shot or a less uncontested move, or are you just going to get called for a foul anyways?
Yeah.
And that was the flow of the game. It was made shots or fouls. Right. And when the Kings started hitting their shots, that's when the fourth quarter went in their direction.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what I deem from it too. I don't know. Like I said, you don't ever want to give up 89 points in a half or 50 in a quarter. But it was making some shots though. They were making shots. They were shooting crazy from 3, and they were able to get to the foul line a lot in that first half. And to get into the foul line, I thought I didn't like a lot of the calls. You know what I'm saying? But that's still a testament to the Warriors and what they were doing offensively, and it's a knock against the Kings to not be able to defend without fouling. So.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you said that, because that's one of Mike Brown's things, right? That's one of those things that he's talked about since becoming the head coach of the Sacramento Kings, is like, you've got to defend without fouling. He said that to James Ham before. He said it on clips we've played on the show. He's said it more than once before. You've got to defend without fouling, and that's either something they can't do yet, and when you look at, well, I mean, there have been a lot of fouls called in Kings games so far this year. I think back to the Portland game. There was a lot of fouls called in the Portland game, maybe not quite as many in the Clippers game. And then we all saw what happened last night. So it's clearly something they don't have down yet. Maybe they're trying to be more aggressive defensively. Hell, we talked about Terrence Davis opening night. Terrence Davis was super active. He was pesky on the defensive end. He was pesky. He was frustrating. He was doing everything he could to hold up his end on the defensive side of the ball. Last night, he did the same thing and fouled out. So, is it officiating? Is it aggressiveness? Is it, the second, the first time that you're playing the second night of a back-to-back and you're playing with a team who can get up and down the floor with you and shoot threes at the same rate as you at a far better clip than you can? Maybe it's that. And again, I'm not stalling them out, but I'm not jumping out the window either. We all knew this schedule was tough. Mm-hmm. We all knew this was a possibility. I didn't think the Kings would be 0-3. I didn't know if I thought they'd beat Portland. Hell, maybe if you come on and beat the Clippers, like whatever. I didn't think they'd be 0-3, but I'm not worked up that they are.
No.
The point from Friday, from Thursday, everything following that first game, hell, even before the first game, it's all the same. Sacramento Kings have to figure out a way to beat a good basketball team, whether it's Memphis or it's Miami. You got Miami twice. You better figure out a way to beat them once. You've got some really, really tough teams ahead, and you're going to have to figure out how to beat them. You're going to have to figure out how to beat a good team early in the season, in the middle of the season, and late in the season if you truly do want to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going down how we marked down the schedule and the first 10 games or whatever, I had them 1-2 at this point. They're 0-3. All right, you gotta make up a game, on my sheet. But it's not like it's far from over. It's far from disastrous. It's none of that. You know what I mean? It's 0-3. And to be honest with you, Damian, more importantly, and I know people don't like to look at it this way, it's a 3-game stretch in the schedule. You know what I mean? Whether we look at it as opening night or games 51, 52, and 53, you know what I mean? That's what it is. Yeah. I know there's a lot of angst because people were charged up, and I understand. I want to see them start better than 0-3. I'm not disputing that, but it still is what it is. It's a 3-game stretch in an 82-game schedule, and they're 0-3 in that stretch. They got to find a way to bounce back.
Yeah, and I see a lot of the comments here in the chatty house upset that the Los Angeles Clippers, that the Kings lost to the Clippers who were playing without Kawhi Leonard. I'm not sure if you guys watched the game or not, or you just looked at the box score and got angry. Paul George is a very good ball player.
Yeah.
And if you have not paid attention to D'Lo and KC for the last 4, 5, 6 months, Los Angeles is loaded. So this wasn't, like random G Leaguer guy coming in and beating the crap out of the Sacramento Kings. This was Paul George. Yeah. Sure, they were out without Kawhi Leonard. That's tough. That team is loaded. That team is a Western Conference contender. They were in the game. They had an opportunity. They made a great run at the end of the first half, similar to what they did against Portland. And they put themselves in a good position to win that game. But we've said this all preseason. A game is going to come along where you miss free throws and it's going to cost you.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento Kings shot 57% from the foul line in that game against Los Angeles.
Man.
Now, you could argue whether that cost them or not. I mean, De'Aaron hits that shot at the end. It kind of cuts the margin of victory down a little bit. But again, 57% from the free throw line.
It's inexcusable.
You can't do that.
It's inexcusable.
You can't do that.
It really is, man.
Against a conference contender, a Western Conference contender, you can't do that.
And you mentioned it when we saw this in the preseason. You said it would cost them a game. And I don't want to go as far to say it cost them this game, but it had a lot to do with why they didn't win that game. Like that, me, you know what I say, you should be shooting 85 or better from the line. Now you got big men that shoot and all this other stuff. So that's gonna bring that percentage down. But okay, Coach Stein, we'll talk to Coach Stein later in this week. And we did already you gotta make your free throws. I have no problem being pissed off at the fact of missing free throws. So I don't necessarily want to go as far as to say it cost them the game, but it absolutely didn't help. Absolutely.
Our man Tyler says we need to talk about Harrison. Yes, we do.
Brought it up, not me.
Brought it up.
We gonna talk about it.
There's actually a lot of things that we need to talk about because I believe changes are coming, and I think they're coming Thursday night. And we'll talk about that. We're just getting started. We've got plenty of time. You know, we got James Ham in the final hour of the show, but we've got the phone lines open for you. We'll get to football at some point today. 916-909-1320. It's D'Lo and KC here on this 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. You get more with Gilmore on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Hit the thumbs up, everybody. Hit the thumbs up.
Oh, yes, please. Do that. Do that. Do that. Roll, you up next.
Okay.
Might be the second.
Yeah, it might be.
He might be the second. Yeah, he might be the second best player. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it.
Omar, they can't even do that. They don't have their pick. It goes to New Orleans this year.
Yeah, Omar, they can't. They just lose. That's all it is. They just lose.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's been rough, man. It's been rough.
Oh, brother. I'll ask you that a little later. I was gonna say something. Forgot what I was gonna say now.
What happened to that boy? RP, it's not being a Barnes defender. It's like Harrison, everything James has said about Harrison is shown in his career. Like, it's all true. It's just he's not playing well right now at all. That's not indicative of his entire career. That's indicative of him right now, 3 games into the season. And I don't, James, I see you here. I kind of noticed that a little bit yesterday. But Harrison's not that guy. He's just not that guy, man. I don't, that's hard for me to see. He's not playing well. And unfortunately, this team doesn't have time for him to figure it out. So there's if changes are going to be made, maybe it's Harrison that needs to change. I'm not sure that it is, but we'll talk about it. It's going to be a focal point of the show. Please keep hitting the thumbs up. Looks like the bad guys were in here early, trying to sabotage our love, man. So just go and get that thumbs up. We're approaching. What are we at? 270 right now. Man, we should be well past 100 thumbs up right now. You just come in, check in, boom, thumbs up. We off and cooking. Easy work. Takes a split second. Even you guys at the other station can hit the thumbs up. No one will know it's you. It's all right. We know your favorite show.
Just don't be a hater.
We know. It's all right, baby. Just hit the thumbs up. It's okay.
Boy, like I said on my IG, you should have saw that concert I had last night driving back. Whew.
Oh yeah, you got to have a concert to stay awake.
We was jamming.
Those are the rules. Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah,
it was star-studded. I was the lead singer, of course. And if you guys do, I heard a couple people talking about, if you do like the shirt, go to dlon.com, dlonkc.com. Both of them are on there. Corners of the Culture joint, that one. And
it's one of the samples I got.
Yeah.
We wound up going with a different type of shirt. Didn't wound up using it, but this one's not bad. It's a little heavier.
This ain't a different one. This we've used this before, right?
I think I sent you the Tribal joint. Yeah. So no, that's the regular.
It always feels so good.
Yeah. Them Tribal are. I just know some people like heavier shirts, and we can't do white with tri-blends. We can only do that one we did with the Giants color, that like oatmeal color. There's some good stuff on there. I made. Bro, do we got hoodies, bro? Bruh. Go see for yourself, man. DLOandKC.com. We got some great hoodies over there. We got zip up hoodies, and I just created like some new things like this, tumblers and all that stuff with that logo on it. The original Dave Garcia, a couple of Dave Garcia's logos on there. I'll go check that out.
Yeah. Aceberg, they got a couple on there to go crazy. Check out the website. KC.com.
I wore that off-white joint to the game on that got some questions.
They knew what time it was.
That got some questions. Yeah. I'm gonna have to get a couple of those out.
Did you do the helicopter Saturday night? Were you all over?
Yeah. I wish I had a helicopter. I
want to hear about it. I want to hear. That's why I was going to ask you. I was going to wait. I want to hear about it.
Oh, Jesse. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Is that G1C? Just says approved. By the way, did you see who's touring in the summer of 2023? Did that come across your timeline?
I'm looking. No,
not in your. It's not in your email.
Okay,
not that one. That one. I'm talking about Beyonce.
Oh, I did see that. I saw somebody. Somebody said this could be just cap, but somebody said like the people who bought the tickets, the first tickets spent like $15K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a part. That was a part of something that they were doing where it was announced. But yeah, not.
But you can catch me at Levi sometime this summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Me, and I'll bring the baby girl with me.
That's fine. Everybody can go.
We'll be going.
I just want to be close enough to where if she does freedom again in the water and she kicks the water, it hits me. I want to make sure I'm that close that if she's doing that dance where she kicks the water, she kicks the water onto me. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, I'll go to Levi. She probably gonna be at SoFi too. That gonna be lit.
I hope she's at both. Like I hope she's just not at like SoFi and Allegiant Stadium and decides to skip over Levi.
Well, then we're gonna have to make a family trip.
We will absolutely make a family trip. That's a must.
That's the last time she was on tour by herself.
Lemonade. She was at Levi.
Lemonade. That's right.
It was right around the time
she hasn't gone on tour.
Died.
Okay, because
they did a purple. They did a Purple Rain. I remember them doing the Purple Rain tribute.
I was trying to think. She didn't go on tour after the Coachella performance, right?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah.
Save your money. Go to DLOandKC.com.
Rich.ripley.net. Someone talk to him. Buy something. Sell him some, please.
If you want to sponsor our trip to see Beyonce in 2023, contact rich.ripley at odyssey.com. That's rich.ripley at odyssey.com. Rich.ripley@odyssey.com. You can sponsor our trip to see Beyonce, or you could sponsor any one of the many segments we have here on the show. I guess this segment will be titled, "What the hell is wrong with Harrison Barnes?" So let's get into some of the things that have gone awry here. The first 3 games. I'll state this. This is purely an opinion. I have absolutely no intel. I know Mike Brown talked about it post game a little bit. He wasn't definitive either way, but I think Keegan Murray's starting. And I absolutely believe Keegan Murray is starting Thursday versus Memphis. Again, that's not intel. I'm not a reporter. I'm not reporting anything. I'm giving you my opinion. I believe Keegan Murray is in the starting lineup on Thursday against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the question of who he's in the starting lineup for seemed to gain a lot more traction than I thought it ever would last night. And KZ Okpala seems to be the obvious choice. He only played 3 minutes. The team was struggling offensively. When you're struggling offensively, you can't put KZ in there. But Harrison Barnes hasn't been particularly good on the offensive end either. And that has left a lot of fans frustrated because I think I don't want to say this. This can't possibly be right. Okay, he didn't. He was 2 for 10 against Golden State. Yeah, he was 1 of 1 last night. Harrison Barnes took 1 shot. He was 1 of 1 last night. He had 4 points and missed 2 of his free throws. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with HB, but
well,
it's rough.
Let's start. Let's be real. Let's be real. And I like Harrison Barnes. I do. But when we talk about what's going on with Harrison Barnes, we've watched the games, not just looked at the numbers. This has been Harrison Barnes the last 2.5 seasons.
Nah.
We backed him to shoot plenty of times last year.
That's true. But one?
Like Harrison. Well, it's not that far off from 6, right? We would love for Harrison, and I'll knock on wood because I don't necessarily. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. I'd love for him to be like 1 of 17 from the field.
Sure, I know what you mean.
As opposed to 1 of 1, 0 of 5. Like, I don't know, man. And when you talk about the starting lineup, I said it after the opening game, man. I got to see something from him. I don't think when this was first put on the table with KZ starting, I think on the first 2 preseason games, everybody's like, well, you gotta put Keegan in there, and I don't disagree. Keegan's gonna have to start at some point. We already know what that is. But everybody was so quick to be like, yeah, you get KZ out and you put Keegan in there. And I said, just in my mind, I was like, why does Harrison have this forever starting spot if he's going to continue to produce the way he is? And I said, I'm going to give him time, and I'm going to give him respect of who he's been in this league to be like, it would still probably be KZ that would be coming out. But to me, the more natural fit is Keegan at the 4 and KZ at the 3, as opposed to you bring Keegan in at the 4, you have Harrison at the 3. Who is he going to guard? He's not guarding anybody as is, and he's not making shots. So, like, if you want to see what is probably a balance, I know everybody's like, oh, you can't have a non-shooter in there. The guy KZ plays like 3 minutes a game. Like, how do we know he's not a non-shooter? He's never even in there for too long. But I do know he's a versatile defender, and he will give you that option. And you get Keegan in there, and you have him in there maybe for more minutes, or to start the game, or whatever the case may be. But tell me what the hell happens with this defense that's already pretty bad so far, statistically. I don't know if it's as bad as they look, but we'll just go with it. It's already. How does it get better with Harrison still in the lineup the way he's playing right now.
So you're exaggerating a little bit. KZ Okpala did play 3 minutes yesterday, and it's kind of one of those things. Like, we know what time it is. Like, he's not a guy who's going to score for you, and when you need to get a bunch of points, like Mike went to, this team was down. I'm sorry, I wasn't taking proper notes. It was like 12-0 to the 12-1, 12-2, 13-2. It was something like that.
I think it was 12-2.
And they made, like, Mike made the switch quick. When Keegan Murray came in, that's when I thought, okay, this is the last time Keegan Murray comes off the bench. Like, this isn't happening anymore.
And he made the switch. They immediately got to within 2 or tied it up within the next 2 minutes or something like that.
Well, I think he hit a 3, like, but like after taking 2 steps onto the court. They got to stop, and then they hit another shot after that. I think what Mike has to figure out, and this is why I think the Harrison Barnes stuff has a lot of validity to it, and keeping KZ Okpala in the lineup, is if you believe KZ Okpala can be the defender that you want. Again, I do want to point this out to be fair to everybody involved. 39-36 after 1 yesterday. Everybody remembers the second quarter. It was 39-36 after 1. So whatever lockdown defense was happening in the first 2 minutes of the game got the Kings down 13-2, and Mike Brown to call a timeout. And that was essentially the end of KZ Okpala's day. We saw Keegan Murray start the second half in that game, just as we saw him start the second half of the game against Los Angeles. But if you're Mike, you've got to figure out, like, okay, I'm willing to take a limited amount. I'm willing to take a limited amount of offensive production from KZ Okpala. What I can't have is a limited amount of offensive production from KZ Okpala and Harrison Barnes. I can't have 4 points coming from those guys. And that's where I think if you're Mike Brown and you're this coaching staff and you are happy with what KZ Okpala is doing for you defensively, then you do have to entertain the idea of moving Harrison Barnes into that bench role. And here's the other thing I think we should talk about, because I don't think that's the only change that's coming. I think we're going to see some rotations change. And I think we might see this lineup cut down. I think we might see rotations cut down just a little bit. And this isn't, this became a popular topic of conversation last night on social media. These aren't line changes. That's not what we're talking about. It's not like Davion, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, Rashawn Holmes, and Terrence Davis all enter the game at the same time. Yeah. That's not what happens. Like, there's going to be an intersect of starters and reserves all on the floor at the same time. What Mike Brown has to do is figure out a way to offensively and defensively maximize that, because I believe that the proper move right now is to move Keegan Murray to the starting lineup. If it's for Harrison Barnes, that's perfectly fine. But you've got to keep a level of defensive consistency and offensive flow when you're doing these substitutions, which is why I wonder, if it's RIP to the Trey Lyles minutes. We did Shemezi Metu, shout out to Freeport, who made the most of his time in the game yesterday. And he was a part of that team that cut that lead down quite a bit. I think there are changes coming. If it's Harrison, fine. If it's KZ, that's okay too. I just don't know what you do with KZ Okpala after that.
All right.
Because he's not in. He's not in at the end of close games.
No.
It's that because people have asked that. Like, those lockdown defensive moments at the end. He ain't there.
No.
They ain't doing that. They're going to use Davion instead. They're going to use KZ Okpala.
And here's what I look at in that situation. You talk about having Harrison in there, and I'll go back to the opening night game against Portland. Jeremy Grant was the one that hit the game winner, the deciding bucket. And it was on Harrison Barnes. I'm not saying it's his fault or nothing like that, but you can't be giving up those type of looks the way he did. He's a little blow by for Jeremy Grant. You can't do that and then not do anything on the offensive end. And that's what he's been so far. And when it's needed, right? Like, you can't be bad at both. You cannot be bad at both. I'm not speaking rocket science. We all know that. You can't be bad at both.
Yeah.
And people expecting you to play 28, 30 minutes. If he was only getting buckets and couldn't defend, I'd be like, well, you got to do what you got to do. You got to find somebody else to give you those defensive minutes, or whoever's on the court has to pick up what they do on the defensive end. Fine. If he wasn't scoring, but he was playing some good defense, man, it hurts, but at least you got somebody defending. You can't be horrendous at both. And that's what he's been so far. He's been horrendous on the floor. And I really don't know what's going on with him, because I believe he's better than that. I believe he's a better basketball player than that. But I don't know if it's the passive nature of his game or his personality, where he's just, you get one shot in the game, you're just letting things happen. You could get, I believe somebody like Harrison, you could get 3 shots just off offensive rebounds. You could get maybe 2 shots in the game by getting a defensive rebound and going coast to coast. Ain't no need for somebody as talented as Harrison Barnes to have 1 shot in the game.
Let's go to Ramsey here. 916-909-1320. Ramsey, what's happening, brother?
Not too much, just my assessment, because I've been to all 3 games, including last night. Saturday night was lost at the free throw line. And speaking of Harrison Barnes, he's been basically 1 of 2 from the line on every single trip he's had so far these 3 games. Last night, honestly, the Kings should have won that game. There was a stretch with roughly about 3.5 to 4 minutes left. They were down by 11. They had 3 empty possessions where they took 3 ill-advised threes.
Yeah.
You take those balls to the basket, make all 3. You cut the lead to 6, and with everything else that happened, you would have won the game by 1. They would have won the game by 1 point if you didn't have those empty possessions with the ill-advised threes. Because we all know the famous saying, 3 is better than 2, but 2 is better than nothing.
Yeah.
If 2, you win the game.
Yeah.
That's where it felt so empty last night.
That's fair, Ramsey. I think that's a little bit too simplistic. But real quick, Ramsey, did you pull off the Saturday doubleheader?
Yeah, I did.
You made it to.
I made it to both, and when you go to 2 games where both of your favorite teams lose by a combined total of 3 points, what did I do to deserve all that Saturday?
Yeah, I got you. Appreciate you, Ramsey. Glad you were able to make both. Yeah.
What 2 games he go to?
He went to Stanford.
Oh,
he went to Stanford.
He was part of the tens and tens of people that went to Stanford.
He was one of the 7 people that were there. I did.
Circulating on there.
Like,
that's an atrocity. I'm sorry. It is. I got to know for that.
That's fine. But tell whoever your mans is that tweeted that, what's California have to do? Fam, it's 80 degrees outside. That's what we have to do. There's a million things people in California can do besides going to watch a Stanford football team that is inevitably going to crush their hopes and dreams at some point during the season.
No,
please.
No, I don't.
I ain't getting that. Ain't getting that.
I agree.
That was weak.
I'm with him. I don't want to hear it's California. We have so much to do. That's why everybody be like, you guys are soft sports fans. There's so much to do out here.
That's fine. It don't bother me a bit.
Come on, man.
It don't bother me a bit.
If they got Stanford out of the Pac-12, I wouldn't want to hear nobody complaining. If they got
the Pac-12 already dead, it don't matter.
If Stanford, because I think when before Harbaugh got there, I think somebody can confirm this. I think there were discussions to go to FCS. Stanford was having discussions to go to FCS. Harbaugh got there and kind of changed the whole tenor of what they were doing football wise.
This is dumb. This is dumb for like a million reasons, but like Stanford doesn't give a crap if no one is at their football game.
All right, we'll put somebody else in the Pac-12. Like seriously,
they probably
don't
will.
Care. If they don't care, put Fresno State in there.
That's an actual
put San Diego State in there, whatever. But that
is an academic institution.
That
is not a cute little thing for people to go play sports at.
I'm not begrudging them for what their priorities are. That's probably a better priority. I'm not begrudging, but get out the Pac-12. Because you can't have, if I'm the Pac-12, you can't have them in there looking like that every year.
This is dumb. It doesn't even matter. 916-909-1320. They had the best college football player of the year, and he didn't even win the Heisman. They've had the best college football player twice, and neither one of them won the Heisman Trophy because no one was paying attention to Stanford. Leezy, what's good, bro?
Yo, what's up, D'Lo and Casey?
What up, Leezy?
I know right now the Kings are 0-3 right now, so I'm going to try not to be too happy and over the top. Get straight to it.
You couldn't sound upset if you wanted to, Leezy.
You know, people tell me that even when I'm mad, they're like, "You didn't seem that mad." I was like, "Oh, I was mad." Two quick questions, guys. Obviously, the Kings roster is a lot better now. You got Herter and a great rookie in Murray. Do you think that's really where Barnes' issue is coming from? He's kind of doesn't know his role now. He's maybe getting less shots or just can't really handle it.
He's been in the league too damn long.
Yeah, he just ain't playing good. It ain't nobody.
He's been in the league too damn long.
For a lack of a better term, it's been going on for 2 years. It's been going on for 2 years. He needs to play better. No more excuses for Harrison. He needs to play better. This is below him. The way he's playing, he's better than this. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, and quick question. So like I said, the roster's gotten better. I know right now it hasn't translated to wins, but obviously the big issue is defense. Now, I know it's not super realistic, but right now, you know, Jay Crowder's still sitting out there. He can hit the three. He can play defense. And the Kings, you guys need some goons. You guys need someone in there that can step up. Even though the roster's gotten better, still feel like you guys don't have that one enforcer, you know?
I'd trade Crowder for Harrison in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I was on the fence on that when it became out for a while. I'm not on the fence anymore.
It can't be worse.
No.
It's just, I guess it really boils down for people like, do you think Harrison's going to get better? Do you think this is a stretch? Do you think it's going to turn around? And I think the point that you're making when you say, and I don't want this to get lost and people think that you're like exaggerating or going over the top. When you say this has been Harrison for the last couple of years, you don't mean the fact that he's scoring 4 points or taking one shot. It's the fact that he might have a stretch where he scores 4 points or 0 points or 8 points and takes one shot or 2 shots or 8 shots or takes 10 but misses 8 of them and then goes on a stretch where he scores 20 and 24 and 21 and then another stretch where he scores 2 and 4 and 0 and 6.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is 3 games like I talked about in the first segment with what's going on. It's just 3 games with these guys, but that's He's too good to have these kind of performances. He really is.
It's the line. I remember when you said it, it made me laugh. I just wish Harrison wouldn't score the 20 anymore. just stop scoring 20 points because it's so fake. Like there's never any sustainability. It's the I think the and James has mentioned this regarding Harrison Barnes too, in that the Kings will play 2 games. Harrison Barnes will score 30 and 0, and you go, "Oh, he's averaging 15." Okay.
Yeah,
I guess it's not all created equal.
Some Cauley Stein averages.
Well, I was trying to leave Willie's name out of this because Willie ain't bothering nobody, but that was the example that was used was Willie Cauley Stein.
Yeah, he's got to be better though, man. Like he's got to be way better than that. And Harrison. He's shown who he is. I guess that's kind of your point. He's kind of shown who he is, but to me, he's a better player to have that little of an impact in any of these 3 games. He's better than that.
I agree. And that's the part that I'm concerned. Like he's better than that. But now you have to is he?
Maybe
or
not.
is this Harrison? Like, cause I can't believe this is, I get Harrison has had his ups and his downs in terms of his production. And my feeling was, well, yeah, so was De'Aaron. So was this team. You don't put this all on Harrison Barnes. That's ridiculous. I know a lot of Kings fans want to jump out the window. I know a lot of Kings fans want to be angry. I know a lot of Kings fans want to say same old Kings. And that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to approach this however you want to. When I watch this basketball team, when I watch this team the last 3 games, I watched them last year all year. This is a bad freaking basketball team. They stink. They're not good. They're not coached well. They don't play well. They don't play interested. They don't do anything. I do not have that feeling about this team at all.
I agree.
And yo, we wouldn't blow smoke up your butt. Like if we thought they'd stink, we'd tell you.
Yeah.
But I don't think this team is bad. I don't know why they can't put it all together yet. I don't know if it's a timing issue. If it's a timing issue, that's fine. But they better get moving. Because this thing, as we talked about, you got to beat a good team. This thing could slip away super quick.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I once again, I agree with that aspect where I watch these guys and it doesn't look like same old Kings to me. Like it really doesn't. It looks like there's a couple of different things going on, not to make excuses, but a new group, trying to find rotation, trying to get used to everything. I mean, they had the first game they should have won. I mean, they kind of let that one off the hook. And I'm not even talking about should have won as in looking at the schedule. No, in the game, like they should have closed that.
They had it. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the other two games, I mean, those are two. I don't care that George and Wall aren't, or excuse me, Kawhi and Wall aren't playing. Those are two tough games. You lose those two games, there's no shame.
Paul George very much played in that game.
He absolutely did. MVP, Paul George.
Kenny Caraway's feeling really.
I told you the Giants are going to make the playoffs, the football Giants, and I said Paul George is the MVP. Talk to me.
Okay, dude. First of all, they've played 3 games. Second of all, Paul George wouldn't even be the MVP. It'd be like Dame or Jason Tatum. Or if the Kings could get a damn win, it might be De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, for real.
We'll talk about who's playing well. There is another player who I think I kind of need some people's help on this one because I'm having a tough time evaluating. We'll talk about that. It's 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. You'll get more with Gilmore. We'll get to the 49ers here at some point. If you want to weigh in on the conversation, you can. 916-909-1320 is Steeler and KC here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. I just put something together, like right in the middle of that segment. Something dawned on me. Cole, you still in here?
You said
Albert?
no?
Yeah, Albert. Let's see if Albert's in here. Over on your Twitch channel. Albert. Bro, did you say you had COVID? Albert. This is how you get dropped down to Albert status. Didn't we see you on Wednesday and you was all up in here hugging and taking pic? See, y'all wonder why I treat Albert the way I do. Y'all see this man right here? Y'all see this man right here? Albert causing a pandemic. Damn shame, Albert. Damn shame.
Dr. David brought back the Jamaican KC in there. That's hilarious.
Oh, man. All right, Michael coming up. Man, I'm going to start calling Cole Rudy. Cole Bear. Cole, hang on. We got Michael on the line, and we still don't have Jesse with the right. And don't call about this. We're just playing, bro. Like you don't have to. This ain't on the radio. Like you don't need to take this on the radio. But if you're trying to call about something else, give us a second. We got to get Michael first, and one day we'll get Jesse the right phone set up. That's
Go Bear in the show.
I love that you didn't see when I put that up a second ago.
I didn't. I was actually looking at something where I love my people over at Sac State, but settle down. Settle down. They put out a tweet. 916, you showed up and showed out. Hornet Nation. It feels good to be 7-0. Everything's fine. I agree with that. Then they hit it with a let's ride. Whoa.
Oh,
we're not doing that. No.
Oh, no need for that.
No
need for that. Albert Gobert. Albert Gobert. Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Damn, Michael. That's
Damn,
funny.
Michael. That's cold, bro.
Scatbo. Yeah, I saw Tyrese's numbers. I was sitting next to Sam Amick. We were looking at some scores on
Oh, you had a
Saturday.
seat.
No. I was in the media room. And I did have a seat, but they put me in that front row. I can't. No. Not the. I'm talking about the front row of the press thing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's snooper. I don't want to sit there. It's so snug, man. Important. Sean Cunningham's got to get up and get that big ass camera out of there. I just stood. I'm like, Michael's like, hey, I got you a seat.
Twirling over and hitting you in the head with the
I was like, I'm good, man. It's okay. Like, I'll stay right here. Thank you. As we, I know we've got so much to talk about with the Sacramento Kings, but I feel like we had mentioned this during the commercial break. Twitch.tv/ESPN1320, YouTube.com/ESPN1320. I feel like we should do. By the way, went to the game Saturday. Hey, where's your boy? Hey, where's KC? Hey, where's your man? Hey, where's your partner? Hey, where's your other half? That went on the whole night. So I'm putting this forward. I'm not going to games anymore that you're not at, because you can peacefully go to the game and sit courtside with people not asking you where I am. I go first person to come over. Doug Christie. Doug gives me a big hug. Oh, what's up? Hey, where's your boy? We ain't spent time together in 2.5 years, and the first thing you ask me is where's my boy?
Man, Saturday it seemed like it was a good time. But while we're here, matter of fact, I got to give air horns. Before you do what you got to do.
Can I hit this? Because I think the air horns and this probably go together.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen. Let's keep moving forward.
Let's go, baby. The ceiling is the roof. Performance of the night brought to you by ACR Solar and Roofing. Call 916-481-7200 to set your appointment, whether you want to get that old roof replaced or you want to find out about solar panels. ACR Solar and Roofing has got you covered. Again, the number 916-481-7200. We're going back to the Pac-12 after dark, or Big Sky after dark.
It should be the Pac-12 after dark after what's going on.
It's football after dark. Not much can keep me up past my bedtime, man. But the Sac State Hornets, Cameron Scappo and Asher O'Hare. Cam with 111 yards on the ground. O'Hare with 75 scrimmage yards, 2 touchdowns. The Sac State Hornets go 7-0, beating Montana at Hornet Stadium on Saturday night. As the kids say, it was a movie.
Ooh, it looked like a movie.
Oh,
I got caught up later with everything that was going on, and I just saw a score. I saw the winning play. Actually, I saw the winning play from somebody's camera, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's dope." Yeah. And then I looked. I saw TV feeds later on. I said, "Overtime." Yeah, they had to come from behind and win it overtime.
They started.
Oh, goodness, it was a movie.
Remember the game we went to a couple of weeks ago, and they just got off to a slow start, and they were kind of letting a bad team hang around. Well, obviously Montana is not a bad team; they're a good football team, and they started slow. And I'm like, just a couple of plays not going their way. The Montana got in field goal position. They missed a couple, made one, and it's like they're right there. They just got to put a couple of things together. And sure enough, here comes the fourth quarter, and they off and running.
Let's go.
That was beautiful. It was so electric.
That looked like
that was electric.
Time.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was hell getting in there because I left the Golden One Center. I thought, this is a national television game. Everybody's going to be there. Yeah. If I leave during the second quarter, it'll be 8:00. That was the start time. Mm-hmm. I'll be just fine. Wrong. I got to campus and it was a disaster. But I was able to park. I was able to get in there, and man, it was a night for sure. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, lost and all that, and I'm glad everything happened with Sac State because those are our boys over there at Sac State. We got love, man. So they took care of business. But from the sounds of it, does seem like D'Lo's the reason why the Kings lost. They were playing well until he left. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. But if that's true, I'm the reason Sac State won because I did not stay through overtime.
You didn't stay through overtime?
I did not do that.
You left before they start coming back?
No, I left as when I was confident they were going to win. My confidence was probably a little bit too high in them, but I knew the hell it was getting in. There was no way I was going to experience that getting out.
Oh, that's when you hang out. That's when you hang out in the parking lot.
Those nationally.
That's when you just hang out in the parking lot and let the traffic die down.
Those nationally televised games are brutal. The commercial breaks are 27 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, what quarter is it? We headed into the ninth overtime? No, we're just 2 minutes into the third. Oh, man, 11 and some change?
Yeah, that sounds about right. 8 o'clock start. That's, man. Woo.
Yeah,
it was late. They out there having midnight madness.
Yeah, it was, and again, those commercial breaks are long.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was a point we were sitting there watching, hanging with the crew that was there. Like, what the hell? Why is nobody playing football? Still in TV timeout.
When you experience that live, whether it's the Sac State or even the NFL games and stuff like that, it does feel like, and they're probably used to it, but with the long times in those commercials, it does feel like there's a loss of rhythm in a game. Because those guys that are on the field, they're literally just standing around.
It's a loss of rhythm in my enjoyment. That's why I stopped going to Raw shows. Those commercial breaks during Raw, them just standing outside the ring waiting for the camera to come back on, or like a 4-minute headlock. Like, come on, man. You want to let them air horns go for the other Sacramento team that got the job done on Saturday? There's only one that didn't, so.
Let me pause.
Okay.
Because your air horns had actually nothing to do with what my air horns were for. I just wanted to give a shout out to the reason why I was gone. A beautiful, beautiful union for my family now. All right, my family. Shout out Jason. Shout out Raya. Beautiful union in Jamaica. The Wrights. I wanted to give them a shout out because they put on a hell of an experience out there in Negril, Jamaica. So big ups to them, man. Big ups. But it's also some air horns for my boys. Going to the semifinal after smashing them boys in New Mexico. You know how they do.
You don't
shout out to the Republic.
I don't understand how you don't hear it. You don't sound like Roman Reigns at all when you say that. It's just such a pause-worthy moment when when that.
Smash the boys. We going for the chip.
Oh man, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Now the only bad thing is the rest of them. They have no, unless there's some upsets. Maybe there's no opportunity for another home game. That was probably it for the season, right?
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. I hate that. It was so interesting talking to some of our different friends in the workforce and what everyone was doing and trying to get done, not just on Saturday but on Sunday too, because it was the 49ers and Chiefs, but it wasn't conducive to the start time for the Warriors and Kings didn't help anybody out. So it was interesting hearing who was going where. Like Sean, Fox 40 had the game, so Sean was headed to 49ers and Chiefs, but he wasn't going to make it over to the Warriors game. I know the Kings beat, the other Kings beat crew James Ham, who will be with us in the 3:00 hour. Brendan, some of that crew right there, they carpooled to the Chase Center to watch, the Kings, and Sarah was here. We did an hour. That Raider game ended in record time. We did an hour together on Sports Extra. So it was interesting hearing where everyone was going over the course of those 2 days, with so much sports happening on Saturday in Sacramento, and then on Sunday just in Northern California overall.
And you know what? We asked the question when all this was lined up. We're like, we love our city. Can we do this though? 3 home games? Can we do this? And by the looks of things, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
everything was damn near either sold out or damn near sold out.
Golden One was in really good shape. It certainly wasn't what it was Wednesday, but it wasn't no problem either. Like it was, and they were into it. And then it was such a great moment when Keegan checked in for the first time, because the crowd was ready for him. I'm probably blending the games together. I swear Keegan hit like 2 threes within like seconds of coming into the game.
She probably did.
Saturday.
That man is a bucket. I remember watching the game yesterday, and he came in, hit a 3, might have hit 2, might have got like 5 quick points. And then Fox or somebody hit him for a wide open 3, and he missed it. He like back rimmed it or something like that. And then maybe a couple minutes later, came back with the same shot or similar shot, just catch and shoot 3. I said, oh, that's going in. Like as soon as he got the ball, I was like, that's going in. You know why? Because like I fully believe he ain't missing 2 in a row. Not like that. He ain't missing 2 in a row. If you got him dribbling and he's fading away, maybe he'll miss something like that. But you give him 2 of the same shot, catch and shoot, maybe he don't make them all, but he ain't missing 2 in a row. That's for sure. He is wet out there beyond the arc.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM, KRXQ, HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge, always live on the free Odyssey app, available on your smartphone or tablet. It is insane how comfortable he is on a basketball floor.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look like he had a shade of nerves to him going out there against the Los Angeles Clippers, and he wound up playing like 32 minutes that night. And it feels like Keegan is even better than the people who like loved him the most, who are just adamant, this is the guy. Like he's even better than that.
Yeah.
He's really incredible. I can't think of a time, certainly in Sacramento, where I've ever seen anything like Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
His rookie season is the start of his career is just so unique, because he just looks, I just use the word comfortable. He just looks comfortable. He looks like an NBA veteran.
And to be honest with you, like it's going to come. He's a human being. He's, a rookie, all this other stuff. It really does feel like we've never seen him play bad. That doesn't mean he has 29 every time or anything, but I've never, like, I don't remember the second California Classic game when he had 9 points. I can't remember what those numbers were looking like shooting. Trying to think I can't think of a time so far since the Kings have drafted him and he's been playing where he's just shot the ball atrociously or couldn't get his shots off and look bad. I have never seen him look bad since he's been drafted. Not once. Like this dude. And now we're going on, I don't know, 15 games of seeing him play, and I've never seen him look bad. Yeah, and I really like, it sounds nuts. I don't plan on that stopping.
So I'm gonna ask you something, and this is gonna launch a million different conversations, but thankfully we have a show where we can talk for 3 more hours. Is Keegan Murray the Kings' second best player?
I'm not gonna go there just yet. I'm gonna still give it to Sabonis. Sabonis got to play better though. He's got to play a little better than what I saw. He's got to be more decisive. I think they're taking this this whole orchestrator of the offense, everything run through him, pass cut thing. I think they're taking it a little too far. Like I still need you to get buckets. Like if you got somebody on your back, put them in the basket. You know what I mean? Like you get an offensive rebound, go up and finish. He's too good for all that. They want to say the Jokic stuff and all that, and I see where they're coming from with that. But Jokic will put up 26 shots a night. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With his passing ability and what he could do, yeah, he's gonna pass. He's still gonna get the buckets. I need Sabonis to be more aggressive offensively.
I felt for him on Saturday in the first quarter. He had a weird stint in the first quarter where, you know, he plays, he's out, but he's back in before the end of the first quarter. And I think he was like 2 of 7. Mm-hmm. His 5 missed shots were probably a combined 5 inches from the rim. Mm. Like he just couldn't get touches to fall. And there was one where, and I think it was the last one that he missed. And I don't know if he got the rebound or it just kind of got tapped around, went out. I don't remember. Maybe it went to Terrence. Maybe it went to Keegan. It went to somebody. And I think it resulted in a 3. It resulted in points. You know, Sabonis' missed shot, the offensive rebound. It resulted in points. But I locked in on Sabonis, and he's walking down the floor, and he's just shaking his head. Because, again, that's like the 5th shot at the basket in that quarter that he missed. Mm-hmm. And I felt for him in that moment because I don't even know what you do to fix that. You couldn't possibly, and maybe it's get up and dunk it, which we saw him do yesterday against Golden State. But he didn't have the touch. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you correct that in the moment. And you could see him in the game on a possession that just resulted in points for his team, walking away going like, I don't know what to do. Like I can't get the shot to fall. Mm-hmm. I felt for him. And we saw that, and that continued through the bulk of the rest of that game where he just couldn't get him to go in.
To answer that question, what you do is you get ready to shoot it again.
And to his credit, that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what you do. You get ready to shoot it again. And too many times, like I said, I got to go back and watch the entirety of the Clippers game. I saw clips and stuff, but I want to watch the whole game. The first game, I thought he was too passive against Portland. And he started out that way against Golden State. And then midway through that first quarter and in the second quarter, he picked it up and started to get more aggressive and actually played really, really well as that game goes along. But it's just the aggression for me. I think he'll be fine, even if he's missing a couple bunnies here and there or whatever. He needs to make those or whatever. I'm not worried about that. If you're aggressive, you will start making those. But what we saw in that first game, and some of it may have to do with big Nurkic in there. Nurkic was a big dude, probably bigger than he's normally going up against. He was just indecisive with scoring around the basket and looking to pass a little too much. I want to see him be aggressive and look for him to score because, back to the original question, I do believe he's the second best player right now. I do believe that. Keegan hasn't surpassed him as of yet. But I need his because of that, I need his aggression to be up.
One of the things I love about Sabonis, one of the things that I think makes him so unique and makes him such a great addition to this team is his passing ability. And I don't know if those passes haven't resulted in points or if those passes have been in a position to get guys points, which I feel like we saw a little bit more of that during the preseason. And that could be the level of opponent, the caliber of opponent. It could be the level of defense, like teams attempting to play defense now versus in the preseason. But it feels like some of those, because I think I came in the day after 2 or 3 of the preseason games just talking about, man, Sabonis, God, he's such a beautiful passer. I can't pinpoint a pass he's made this year where I've gone, oh, that's beautiful. Or over, this year over the last 3 games. I just haven't seen it. And again, I don't know if that's the defense. I don't know if that's the offense. I don't know if that's, the offense that's being called. I just feel like that component right now is missing. And King's got to find a way. Mike Brown's got to find a way. This coaching staff has to find a way to take advantage of that talent that Sabonis has.
Yeah, I would say if I was him, I'd say your passing is phenomenal, but a lot of the times your aggressiveness on the offensive end and you being a threat on the offensive end is going to open up those windows to see those passes that we love so much. So if you're only looked at as a passer and a distributor, those windows they're gonna close it. They're gonna tighten on you a little bit, right? Look for.
And he was good against Los Angeles. Like I like you could see some things going through him against the Clippers on Saturday night.
Yeah, and he played well.
But the shot wasn't falling.
He played well last night after a little bit of frustrated and rocky start. I think it was still in the first quarter where he had that. I thought maybe a timeout was called or a substitution. I thought he picked it up at that point, and he started to play better for the rest of that game. So the one thing I will say with Sabonis, with Harrison, although Harrison, if we want to be honest, is a larger sample size than what I'm about to say. It's 3 games, man. It's 3 games. We all want a certain start to the season. 100%. I get it. But if these 3 games happen in game 52, 53, and 54, nobody will be, this is alarming. No, they got to play better. They got to do some things. But I'm also like you, Damien, where it doesn't look the same as what we saw from a terrible Kings team in the past. Will that result in wins? I don't know. I'm just telling you, it doesn't look the same. And they're not that, I don't feel like they're that far away from what they're trying to do right now. I don't see it the same as just like this terrible team.
At some point, though, you can look however you want to.
Yeah, you've
got to win. Like, they've got to turn into wins.
And look, I mean, I really don't believe that this will happen. I don't believe that. But there are probably a good amount. I just got 2 that come to my head off the top of my right here. But there's probably a number of examples where teams get off the slow starts and play well in the season. The one was, remember the George Karl year? It was the year he started with the team, and I think it was also the time when he got cursed out by DeMarcus, and then Drake came in. Hi, Drake.
Hi, Drake.
You know, that team started off 1-8. And obviously they didn't make the playoffs, but I remember specifically they got to a point in mid-January where they went into like sole possession of the 8th spot. You know what I mean? Because I remember I was like, damn. And I tweeted out like, if the playoffs started today, that was like 30 games into the season. They started off 1-8, 1-7 or something like that. Last year, and I know we don't have a Brandon Ingram. Maybe we do. I don't know. 1-13 last year to start the season. They found a way to turn some things around. So you don't want that to happen by any means. You don't want to rest on that at all. But we talk about 1-7, 1-8, 1-13, and people are talking about same old Kings after 0-3. Yeah. So like, just let's settle down just a little bit, bit, everybody.
A couple of notes from our amazing statistician Will Z. Through 3 games, and if you're going to jump out the window for 3 games, we might as well use some numbers here. Offensive rating is 15th in the league. Defensive rating is 19th in the league. Points per game, they're 13th. Opposing points per game, 23rd. Assists, they're 10th. Rebounds, they rank 17th. Their free throw percentage,
dead last.
Very close. They're 29th. They're 29th in the league.
Who's worse?
I don't know.
Oh, he didn't get that. Okay. No. Well, who's worse? Just put it in the chat or something, or text.
We've got to know who's worse. Will, that is an interesting question because they're 68. They're 68.6%. I have no idea. No, I genuinely have no idea.
I'm gonna say. No, I was gonna say the Lakers, but no.
I was gonna say Philly, but
I was gonna say Philly too. But then I was like, then I was gonna say Lakers, and I don't know. I'll go with the Lakers.
Okay. Deflections, they're 4th. Passes, they're 5th. Like there's again, I think it kind of speaks to the conversation we were having, and we were way off, as Will Z said. And not only are they last by a lot. 62.9% for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oof.
Yikers Island. That's tough. Anyways, I think those numbers speak to it's frustrating. There's a 0 in the win column. Now it feels like there's because we all see the schedule, and I'm speaking from a fan perspective, not a Mike Brown, De'Aaron Fox, Sacramento Kings perspective. And I think it's shameful we're an hour and 13 minutes into this and we haven't praised how well De'Aaron Fox has played the first 3 games. But from our perspective, we look at the schedule and go, there's kind of antsiness for that first win. Like, man, is it because if it doesn't come Thursday, when is it going to come? Like, there's Miami. Are we really looking at Charlotte?
Like, don't fear. They could start 0-20. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it don't come Thursday, Miami, but Charlotte, Orlando, come on now. I know it's on the road, but come on now.
No, so you can't do it, but you can't do that. Like you can, you like
we
for
can't
me
do it the other way either. We can't do it the other way.
That's what I mean.
They're going to lose to Memphis and Miami.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. There's an anxiousness for the first win. I get it on Thursday, but if you don't, then it's like, oh man. Okay, now Saturday gets here. All right, got to get that first win, and then all of a sudden you're anxious to get the Kings. They just got to get that first one. I'm sure to ease themselves a little bit and ease this fan base. We'll come back. We'll talk a lot more about the Sacramento Kings. We'll talk about Christian McCaffrey's debut with the San Francisco 49ers as well. That's all ahead here on this 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. You get more with Gilmore on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Roddy and Stephen Brown going in on Sabonis. Y'all doing too much. Not lockable. I'm just saying, I don't agree.
No, I thought Sabonis's performance yesterday was a little hollow. I think he got a lot of points when they didn't really matter.
Yeah, and those offensive numbers, it was an offensive game. So a lot of people were going to score points yesterday.
I think Sabonis is really good. My mind hasn't changed on that. I just don't love the way I've wanted a little bit more from him this year. Or, to start the season. The year's far from over.
I think he's too invested, or the team, or on this whole orchestrator of the offense, passing from the high post. Go in there and be aggressive. Look to score. Look to finish. And let that be the basis of getting everything else going. And some of it, to be honest with you, I see some of it is on him, because I've seen in a couple instances where he's got the ball in the paint. I mean, we saw it a lot in the first game where he's got the ball in the paint and he's pivoting around, looking to dish it out and all this other stuff. Man, you're 2 feet away from the basket. You're the ox. Score the basket. He did it a little bit at the start of the game yesterday and had me cursing out him in the Fort Lauderdale airport. And then he turned it up a little bit.
You got to be careful about cussing people out in the airport. That could get you in trouble. That little 2012 reunion was trash, by the way.
For the 49ers?
Yeah, that was stupid.
Why?
Cap wasn't there. Frank Gore wasn't there. Crabtree wasn't there.
So I don't know what happened with
just
Cap.
Brought out Harbaugh and called it a day. Like,
yeah. I don't know if there's some new stuff, but there's some old stuff where I was like, well, yeah. The only thing I'll say about that is, aside from Crabtree, you don't know who got invited and who didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the one thing I saw a lot of people like, what about Cap? He might have just not responded.
Left on red. Shout out Lester. Your gear's on the way, my guy. Your
big ups, Lester. Big ups.
You know what's really hard to find? The perfect towel. The perfect towel is the perfect towel. Towel.
Like
like a
Like
bath
shower
towel,
towel?
like a yeah,
Like
the
that you
perfect towel.
use or decorative?
No, that you use.
We have
Decorative is easy because it could feel like sandpaper and it doesn't matter. It's for decoration. Like I need.
So in our house, we have like some older towels. They're still nice, but they're older towels. And then Jazz had bought like a gang of new towels, and I refuse to use them because they just slide off me off the shower. I don't like that. Like, get the water off of me. So she uses the new towels. I use the older towels.
Picked up some towels from
Albert, I like sandpaper towels. I guess I do too. I guess I do. Don't just slide the water like it's lotion on me. Like, get this water off. Absorb some of this stuff.
Give me that. Let me wrap up in a big that. See, give me them big old fluffy soft towels. That's what I need.
That's fine too, but they got to get the water off.
I'll air dry. Like.
and I need you as a towel to make sure if you are getting the water off that like you don't turn into just a ball of water in the towel. Like there's got to be a balance, right? Get the water off, but don't be a sponge where, damn, after I wipe my arms, the whole towel is soaked. Now I'm just moving water all over. It's delicate, and that's why I don't.
Yeah, your towel shouldn't be a paper towel. Don't get out of the shower and rinse off, dry off with a paper towel.
That's why I don't leave off the towels that have worked for me. They're doing a great job.
See, I also have I use white towels because of the stuff I put on my face. I'm always scared of those like stains that get on towels. Mm-hmm. But after a while, those towels start to look bad. Like even these white towels, they never been washed, but anything but other white stuff. And at a certain point, like they don't look good anymore. I'm like, damn.
I guess that's why you buy new towels. That's why the towel industry is never going out of business. You always got to buy some new ones.
The towel industry. Big towel. Take down big towel.
Damn, not one Drake bar this week.
Oh, happy birthday, Drake.
Happy birthday, Drizzy. Yeah.
We got a dope edition, or what I expect to be a really great edition of Corners of the Culture coming up this week. We're actually recording it immediately following today's show. We're talking to Jonathan Abrams, the writer of the new book, The Come Up. He did an oral history on The Wire. He was a writer on Grantland. This book covers hip hop, and the way he mapped it out is pretty dope. Because as I was listening to it, I was like, yo, man, he really kind of jetting through this thing. Like, okay, like, all right, this is great. But he's really covering a lot of ground. And then I realized it took me a few chapters to catch up. But like he covers obviously the birth of hip hop and some of the things that we've discussed in the past, like the Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Caz and the Cold Crush Brothers and all of that. And then, he covers like the emergence of West Coast hip hop, and it covers a certain number of years. And then there's this tremendous segue where he's talking about West Coast hip hop and the Chronic. And we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of the Chronic, by the way, and there's going to be a massive edition of Corners of the Culture for that album. But how the Chronic really launched West Coast hip hop like into a different stratosphere with Doggy Style and Death Row and everything that followed, and how that directly influenced the resurgence in New York hip hop. Because when you look at the timeline, it's the Chronic, it's Doggy Style, and then there's this little, oh, wait a minute, here comes Ready to Die, Illmatic, Reasonable Doubt shortly after that. And I was walking around thinking, and I'm going to ask Jonathan this, is the Chronic one of the 2 or 3 most important records ever made. We'll talk to Jonathan about that. That episode will drop on Thursday. We may even air a portion of that conversation here on D-Lo and KC, but go become a subscriber of Corners of the Culture if you are not yet. 916.
I can't wait for that. Can't wait to hear that. Hey, real quick. I had me and Ace while we were out there. We had the Usher versus Chris Brown verses. It only lasted like 5 songs because we couldn't agree on the criteria.
That sounds right. Like people not being able to agree on anything. That 100% sounds right.
So we had these rounds that I was like, oh, that's a clear Usher round. And he's like, no, it's not. That's a clear Chris Brown round. And after 5 songs, we just said, this is getting nowhere.
There you have it. So Kenny went to Jamaica and solved nothing. So that's good. 916-909-1320. Let's get to our man TC here. TC, what's happening, baby?
Man, what's up with my brothers?
What up, TC? How you doing? How many brothers are there? What's up?
Man, and I said, what's up with my 2 brothers? Man?
Okay, there you go. All right, there you go. All right, just checking.
Oh, man, just chilling, man. How was that vacation, man? Congratulations, man. I like that.
Man, it was good. I wouldn't say it was a vacation.
Yeah, congratulations, my ass. You were the butt of every joke. Everyone's like, hold up, KC went on vacation? Isn't his wife like 47 months pregnant? And this dude is in Jamaica right now? Oh, yeah, congratulations, nothing. Everybody was making fun of you on Friday and Saturday.
Business. This is what CC, that's where what this wasn't a vacation. This was a business trip.
I may have perpetuated the idea that you were on vacation, so it's my fault.
We take one vacation a year around here.
That's true. That's big facts. That's big facts.
I don't know what goes on everywhere. Over here is one.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Hey, but KC, check it out, bro. On another note, so a business move. A business move with York would be to let Shanahan go, bro, after this season. And like, I don't know if you can't see that, then I really don't know. For one, this dude, I don't know if he lost a locker room or if it's coming up. Whatever all the players speaking out and saying, hey, man, we should do this, we should do that. They're speaking directly to Kyle. He's not developing any quarterback, bro. This dude is he's against the ropes. He's against the ropes right now, bro.
TC, I just figured it out. I don't know how I missed this for so long. I just figured out that TC stands for Tyrone Cone. I just figured that out. He's one of them cone. He's one of them cone guys like who just absolutely hate Kyle Shanahan. It adds up. He's one of them long lost Cone kids. That's what he is. Tyrone Cone right there. TC. That's why he's been calling himself TC the last 2 years. They didn't want us to know he was related to Grant and Lowell.
You know, it's he has to keep a low raps. No, you got to keep it undercover.
And that dude's be hating Kyle Shanahan.
Hey, like I said, I'm not gonna see it the same as these guys. Is Kyle Shanahan perfect? No, but is he bad? I don't think he's bad. I really don't think he's bad. The only thing that's gonna, like, at the end of the day, he's gonna get fired if they don't win. Not now, but like down the line. If they don't win, he'll get fired. Everybody like TC will get what they want, and then we'll see what the new coach does. Like, the other thing about it is, like, people, and I understand people who are like, hey, if the coach is bad, being afraid is not, like, being afraid of the next hire isn't a good reason to keep the coach that's there that is bad, right? Like, I get that. Mm-hmm. But the 49ers, just look at the coaches since Mariucci. So to sit up there and be like, let's fire Kyle and then go get somebody that can win for us. Typically, let's forget the 49ers. Typically, that's not what happens. How many coaches did the Giants go through since Coughlin? The football Giants? And now they got one that seems to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Was it 2 or 3?
I think they had 2. I can't even remember. Did Spagnuolo come after Coughlin? When did Coughlin? Yeah, no, they've had a few.
Yeah. Like the answer of these guys haven't even been as successful as Kyle Shanahan has been in his short tenure. Which has turned into a little like a medium level tenure. So, like Mike, it says Mike McDaniel could have been the replacement. Whatever. Like, maybe he could have, maybe he couldn't have. If he doesn't have his quarterback there, he gets scraped. Like, he don't have his, and you mentioned this a number of different times before, QB1 is not available.
God bless it. They've had 5 coaches since Tom Coughlin. Wow. McAdoo, Spagnuolo. I couldn't remember the timeline for Spagnuolo. Pat Shermer. Some of these might be interim guys too. Oh, the great Joe Judge hire as well. And then now they got.
So like you mentioned it before. You're not playing with QB1. A lot of teams, aside from maybe the Cowboys, I guess Mike McCarthy. If you don't have QB1, you're in trouble. So. He's got to. I mean, they've got to start playing better, But yeah,
here's the new rule. If you're going to fire Kyle Shanahan on this show, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to fire Kyle Shanahan on the show, you have to hire somebody. You got to hire somebody. That's the rule. Like if you TC anybody else, you want to fire Kyle Shanahan, you can fire him, but immediately after you fire him, you have to hire somebody and tell us who it is. That's the rule. That's the new rule.
I agree.
We should make that the coaching rule. Like you want to fire anybody, you got to tell us who you're going to hire. Absolutely. I mean, at least with our squad, you don't have to do that for the Bears or whoever. Like you got to do that for the 49ers, for the Raiders, for the Kings or whatever. You've got to tell us who you're hiring. We definitely missed you on Friday.
Oh man. I got that information off the plane. Phones start blowing up with texts and tweets and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything that was going on. I get down off the plane and I see this Christian McCaffrey stuff. And I was like, wow, let's go. I like it. In recap, I like the move. I love the move. He went for it. He went for the gusto. You know what I mean? This is what I always talk about, at least. That the Rams do, that the Niners don't do. The Niners always kicking the tires on somebody and never actually pulled the trigger. They pulled the trigger this time. And does he have, injury concerns? Sure. Absolutely. He's been injured a lot. But he's a playmaker. He's a dynamic playmaker. It's a little bit more than maybe I would have liked to given up if I had my choice to make a trade for Christian McCaffrey. But that was the price.
Why?
Because it's a lot. It's a good amount of draft capital. I'd probably take one of those picks off if I could. But
you would have lost them to the Rams at that point.
If
you see the two deals compared to each other,
price of doing business, then I'm paying the price. The other thing about it with Christian McCaffrey that I like is it's not a 1-year rental, right? It's not, and it worked for them. They won a Super Bowl, so there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not Odell Beckham to the Rams last year, where there's a possibility of you trading these draft picks and then he leaves at the end of the season. He's going to be here for a little while. You have him in your system, and the odds of whatever 3rd round pick or even the 4th round pick that you gave up being better than Christian McCaffrey are low.
Mm-hmm.
They're really low. So I have no problem with the gamble. I love the gamble. Actually, it's more than I have no problem. I love the gamble. Now let's see if they can make it happen. If they can make it work.
We saw glimpses of what he can be for the 49ers yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought that was really exciting. I obviously don't have the investment into the 49ers that you do. I said this Friday because you weren't here. I wouldn't have said it if you were. I didn't think they were going to win that game. I thought it was tough. One, you're going against an upper echelon. You're still. It's great that Nick Bosa's back. It's really great that Trent Williams is back. You're still a bit depleted. Mm-hmm. You're also going to try to work in Christian McCaffrey off like a couple of days' notice, and that's fine. You're going to try to get Nick Bosa in after being out for a while. That's fine. Your secondary is still jacked up, and you're probably going against the best quarterback on the planet. So you're going against an upper echelon team who's coming off of a loss against another upper echelon team. So I thought that Kansas City was coming in hyper focused, and the fact that the game was as close as it was for as long as it was, I was really encouraged by. You hope as the season progresses that the San Francisco 49ers will be able to beat teams like that. But the thing that stood out to me with last night's game or with yesterday's game the most was the times that Christian McCaffrey touched the ball. You saw like, okay, this is what they traded him for. Like, it wasn't these big 60, 70, 80-yard breakouts. It was a 10-yard, an 11-yard. The 12 was like, yo, okay, this is game-changing for the San Francisco 49ers right here. Out of the backfield and as a receiver as well. There was so much for me positive takeaway from Christian McCaffrey's time on the field yesterday that I think that I think it's got the 49ers in a good position moving forward. Getting guys back and getting healthy is the most important part, but the fact that you've got a playmaker, and as we discussed, in depthly with a variety of different people on Friday, not only did you get a playmaker, but you kept the playmaker off of the Los Angeles Rams. Right. You kept the playmaker off a division and conference rival who clearly knows they're struggling. Offensively, they're struggling. And they were trying to rectify that by going to get a playmaker that you got. And all of those things, I think, are positive moving forward for the San Francisco 49ers.
Nah, I agree with everything that you said. Everything you said, even to the point where if I was on the air, could I make an argument that they were going to beat Kansas City? Absolutely. You know what I mean? I think they're a good enough team. But in reality, especially after watching it, I mean, today, Kansas City is just a much better team than the 49ers. I absolutely mean it when I said, and this is 49ers included as of today, I said it when we were doing the power rankings. I mean, it's the Bills and the Chiefs. And if you want to put the Eagles there too, we'll just do that for argument's sake. It's those three teams. And everybody else is about even. Like, they're not on those three teams level. Not today. They may get there. You know what I mean? But today, there's three teams that are on a different level than everybody else. And the 49ers are part of everybody else right now. That's just what it is. The thing about it, though, is can they get to that level later in the season, or the season goes on, or can anybody, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Ravens, Cincinnati, can they get to that level later in the season? Sure. But one of the things the Niners are going to have to do is they're going to have to be better with executing. Their execution has just been awful. If it's not drop passes like it was the week before, I mean, the penalties and the drive killing penalties, essentially, what it was yesterday, because it wasn't that directly, but how many times they run a play on first down, holding 1st and 20. That happened at least 3 or 4 times. This offense is not 1st and 20 is a death blow. And it's just those things, they can't happen. Their attention to detail yesterday. And this is where, I this is just me. Like, I'm not going to blame Kyle Shanahan, just like I didn't blame Luke Walton, just like I won't blame Mike Brown for those type of errors. You hold every time on 1st and 20. What the hell is the coach supposed to do? I guess some would say bench you. Are we going to bench Debo? Because he had one of the holds. You know what I mean? Like, they have to execute better. They have to do that. And until that happens, it's all bad. Right? I just saw McGlinchey was a train wreck yesterday. Yeah. Just a train wreck. He may need to be benched. He is not good.
Yeah, that was he. Could we also, and we don't have to spend a lot of time doing this, but you do kind of have to point it out, man. Can we not throw end zone, or can we not throw red zone interceptions? Like, just totally needless, useless. Like, why, bro? Like, why? And it felt like everything, and it didn't. Like, everything didn't shift right there, but it felt like, you talk about death blows. Okay. Your long drives are turning into field goals, which is actually becoming a running problem for this organization, for this offense that they've got to fix. But doing it against the Falcons, that's one thing. Doing it against the Kansas City Chiefs is another. At some point, they're going to make you pay for it. The Chiefs waited until the fourth quarter to really make you pay for it. But that was just, you had a chance to get points there, and you very literally just threw it away.
Yeah. I mean, they had the Chiefs aren't, or excuse me, the 49ers aren't as good as the Chiefs right now, but they had moments where they had an opportunity to be in that game. When it was third and 11 bomb that my guy Moody Ward, who's been phenomenal all year, got beat on. It's a 5-point game. I think that was in the fourth quarter, like early fourth quarter, or it might have been late third quarter. But it's 3rd and 11. You're down 5. You're able to get that stop. You got a chance to take the lead, and they weren't able to make that play. Rich brings out the 3rd and 20 play where McKinnon gets the first down. That led to a touchdown. Little things like that just can't happen yesterday. And they have to tighten it up collectively. They haven't played good football. They played one good football game. I guess maybe you could say the Seahawks game too. But the Rams game was a damn near a perfect game, except they still left some things to be desired offensively. But they were locked in, and luckily, or maybe unfortunately for them, depending on how it goes, look who's on the schedule next.
It feels like they play the Rams 7 times a year.
Oh yeah, and the Rams
they play them again.
Yeah, they play them next week. Rams play Carolina and Atlanta and Jacksonville all the time. Rams been in first place for like last 2 years. They never played a hard schedule.
Well, the 49ers did play Atlanta too. I just want to point that out.
Lost to them too.
I know. I was pointing out they do. They do. They got to play.
Niners definitely got to play more sound football. They're not, regardless of what we think about the talent, if they're devoid of it or the injuries or whatever, they're just not playing solid football right now. They've got to play a lot better.
Yeah, I don't think they're void of talent at all. I mean, obviously they've lost.
Say that because of like the injuries that have gone on.
Oh, I got you.
So that's an issue, but they're just not playing clean football right now. They've got to clean up a lot of things.
916-909-1320. Let's get to Bobby. Bobby, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys?
Bobby, what's up, big dog?
Hey, man, it's a good little therapy day together. I gotta say, I was telling your boy screening the calls. I went to the game, man, and it was that KC. That is so much harder to watch in person, man, because you can feel it. Like you can feel like, especially it's the timing of the turnovers and like it's the air being let out of the balloon when you get that fumble, and you can like. And just the whole thing looks bad on the field, man. Like you can see the body language is bad between him and the coach. And it's like, it was just, the game started so well. We start fast, we're getting pressure. We were on them the first, series or two. And then it's like, after that, man, it's like it all just kind of, you could feel it turning. And I don't know, I've never seen a quarterback make so many flat-footed throws when it's like, you see those deer in headlight looks he gives. And it's like, bro, either take the sack, like even on the INT in the goal line, it's like you can take a sack and we can get 3 points. Like we got 0 points out of those 2 possessions. We could at least got 2 field goals, and it's like it was rough to watch in person, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Bobby.
Appreciate you, Bobby. Jamie, can we take the time out to clown all of those people who had segments on whatever national show, on radio, in our chat, who called into us, and it's time to clown them.
Okay.
Because they came in and said, the Niners have a Super Bowl ready roster, and you have to start Jimmy Garoppolo to get the most out of this roster.
Ooh.
You guys look foolish right now. Jimmy, who I like, and I don't think he's played terrible. That's the wrong take. I said it the other day. When the season started, excuse me. Trey Lance, at the very least, can give you what Jimmy Garoppolo is giving you. At the very least. He may end up being better. He may not be ready to be better, or whatever the case may be. But he can do what Jimmy Garoppolo's doing. Jimmy got this team at a 3-4 record, or whatever you want to say, a 3-3 record since he went around week 1. So you guys sound ridiculous. You sounded ridiculous then.
Thank you. I did want to point that out. Just you sounded dumb then too.
Yes.
It's just now all you're going to do is pretend like you didn't say it.
Mm-hmm. They ain't going to be nowhere to be found now.
Can I tell you something funny? We were, the Raider game ended like quick. I think it was the shortest game in the history of professional football. Like Sarah hit me up. She was like, hey, we got a show. It's an hour, but you know how to game, it could be 5 minutes, could be 30, it could be 40 minutes, could be an hour. I was like, yeah, I'll be ready. No problem. I think the 49ers game had just started the third quarter, and the Raider game was like into the fourth, like well into the fourth. I'm like, oh, I looked at the clock. It was like 3:15. Like, oh, we might have some time today. So I get up here into the home studio to do Sports Extra with Ben and Sarah. And, it was 28-23 when I sat down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like every time we talked, I was like, yo, it's 35-23. Oh, okay, that's all right. They got time. And then somehow it got to 37-23. I'm like, hey, did anybody see what just happened? Yeah, Jimmy got another safety. Oh, good.
Yeah.
And it was like every segment as we were pushing the 49ers off till late in the show, every segment, the Chiefs just kept scoring and scoring and scoring in that final quarter, which was the hour that Sports Extra was on the air.
Jimmy with zero awareness on that entire drive. He runs into a sack on one play because of zero awareness, and then gets sacked in the end zone.
I want to come back. We'll give the Raiders their due as they get a win against the Texans, and we talked about their schedule last week. Maybe this means something for them moving forward, and then we'll dive back into the Sacramento Kings. We believe changes are coming perhaps as soon as Thursday when we take on the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll talk about that here on this 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. You get more with Gilmore on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were a few in the chatty house saying that, Aldrin J. Not many. This was more people who get paid to discuss the sport who were talking like that. Y'all are bugging.
Well, we have John Poles, we have Phil, Young Sav, Reese 3, Will S, Me Gills _18, AA.
Those are Jimmy people
who were all in the chat saying Jimmy should be starting over Trey. I ain't even get them all down.
Man, this stuff Kyra did is crazy.
That is really
cool. Great.
That may be the shirt.
Yeah, I think there's a way we could pull this off. I wish I knew who. I love. I wonder if like Crocky's looking at this like, what the hell is that? Is that me? Wonder if Sarah's seen it yet. Stephanie McMahon Morgan. That's a good Jason Jones too.
That is a good Jason Jones.
Good.
That is a good one.
Kyron, I might try to make this a hoodie. I don't know if I can. I might try. We'll figure out how to work that, Kai, if we can. Yeah, Blazers being 3-0 isn't a big deal. Jazz being 3-0 is that's pretty wild. I don't know what the Black Widow is, but she's the one down by Kenny's leg. I don't know who none of these characters are, except I think Kenny's Captain America. I don't think I can. Oh, it's not an overlay. It's a background. So I can't put it over. I'd have. Good stuff there. Wait, is Sarah the one that looks like Stephanie McMahon? I thought Sarah was with who has the green things? Who has the green things? I thought that was Sarah.
That's better.
You saw Trey Lance play for like 5 quarters. Stop it. You're ruining the name. You're not allowed to use that name anymore. Oh, we're back. Jesse said we're coming back. He was like, no, we're back. Like, all right, welcome in.
Someone getting yelled at in the chat.
Well,
hey, I'm on edge today. Okay. You guys saw what happened yesterday. Both of my teams took a loss. One of my teams is 0-3. My other team is 3-4. I'm on edge. Don't mess with me today. I'm telling you that right now.
Okay.
Now, one thing that'll take a little bit of edge off.
Okay.
All right. Just real quick. 2 seconds.
Oh, Lord. I hate when you do this.
No. You're not going to hate this. Is if my main man, come on, man. Let's get it done. My main man, Dusty Baker, can finally bring one home. Come on, Dusty. Come on. If the Astros don't win this World Series, I might shed a tear. Come on, man. Come on, Dusty. Get this one, baby. Get this one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that. I can absolutely get on board for that. 100%. Yeah, I can get on board for Dusty getting one. Saw absolutely zero of the championship series, by the way. Absolutely none of it. None of it. I saw none of it.
Oh, both of them.
Both of them. I saw none of them. I saw absolutely none of it because, like jackasses, they air it during the day, and I have a job that I have to do, and only one of us can watch baseball and host a radio show at the same time, so I didn't get to watch any of those games. 2, they missed the ones on both Saturday and Sunday.
You could have watched the game on Friday night. That was Phillies and Padres, I believe.
The hell was I doing Friday? I don't know what I was doing.
And Yankees Astros game 2 was on Thursday night. What, you too busy watching NFL Prime Thursdays? Cardinals Saints?
I did get a kick out of that, though. That was fun. I did get a kick out of, or I was preparing the 4-hour radio show that I had to do by myself, and I knew that the Phillies and the Padres weren't going to be a part of it.
That was Astros Yankees that night.
Whoever it was, I knew this isn't going to be a part of the show. Let me focus my attention on something else.
Jed York and John Lynch did God's work and traded for Christian McCaffrey.
They did. Oh, they absolutely did the Lord's work, man. God bless those 2 brothers for getting that done. 916-909-1320. Let's get to our man, Uncle Phil. Phil, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, man? How y'all doing tonight?
We good, man. What's up with you?
Man, can y'all stop hating on Jimmy G like he's Westbrook? It ain't his fault.
Hey, Russ ain't bothering nobody.
That was an unsolicited
you
shot.
You leave Russell Westbrook out of this. He ain't bothering nobody.
It ain't his fault. I mean, it ain't his fault that his team is the second most injured team in the NFL. It ain't his fault the Niners gave up 600 passing yards total.
It's his fault he threw an interception in the end zone. It is his fault that happened.
I mean, what was the score then? There was already a blowout?
No, it was like 14-13.
I mean, he still doesn't have a full team. It ain't his fault. He can't operate fully.
Man, he's not good enough.
The full team he doesn't have is the full team the 49ers don't have is their starting quarterback.
Yes.
They're playing this season with a backup quarterback.
He's not good enough, man. He's not good enough. I don't believe he's good enough to win you a Super Bowl. I think he's gotten worse. Has he like, to hell with the ACL surgery and how he played before that. He's not even as good as he was when he won the NFC West for the 49ers in the last game of the season against Seattle. Like, he looked so good in that game, the way he delivered the ball, his calmness in the pocket, like the way he threw the ball. He's not even that anymore. He don't even look like that. He was making accurate passes. That game alone, accurate passes, hitting them in stride, all this other stuff. Now it's a trick or treat situation. Sometimes he hits them with a perfect pass in stride. Sometimes it's low and behind or too high or something like that. He's just not the same guy anymore.
He makes a lot of the bad decisions, which is that I think is just the ultimate killer for the 49ers in certain games. Raiders got themselves a dub yesterday. They're 2-4, and that's nothing to. I'm not going to snicker at that at all because it took them a while to get going. By the way, like I was preparing for a completely different type of show with Sarah Hodges early in that Raider game, but they finally got going. They kept feeding the ball to Josh Jacobs, who had an absolutely monster game. But this is what we talked about last week. The Raiders' schedule, it sets up nicely for them. If they can take care of business against teams they are very clearly better than. And collectively as a team, the Las Vegas Raiders are very much better than the Houston Texans. They continue to do that, man. They're right back in this thing.
They got all the weapons. They got all the weapons and everything you need to be able to win games in this league and to make a run. And I look at this next stretch of games, and they should be fine for a while. Like, I don't want to put a number on the winning streak or nothing like that. Maybe there's a slip up here and there, but I don't like, honestly, I can't see the slip up. I can't see where it would be. I could see them absolutely taking this thing to 6-4, maybe 7-4 or something like that. Absolutely. They're better than, in my opinion, they're better than all these teams are going to face, including the Texan games, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games they play. They're going to be better than these guys.
Give the ball to Josh Jacobs, man. Those are the rules. It's pretty simple. They got the Saints coming up. I actually think that's going to be a bit of a difficult game because the Saints are kind of a wild card. Jameis Winston could throw 4 touchdowns or he could throw 4 interceptions. Taysom Hill could score 5 touchdowns. Like they're or they could put up 3 points. They got the Jaguars after that, the Colts, the Broncos. Who knows what the Broncos will look like by that point. And they'll have the NFC West leading.
That's crazy.
Seattle Seahawks.
I got to tip my hat to them. I do. And, I hate them.
Good for you.
But 4-3, first place, after everything that happened in this offseason.
You were pretty disrespectful to Geno Smith.
I was, and I'll continue to be disrespectful of them. But right now, I will show respect to what they've done so far. Pete Carroll, great job. Great job. Geno Smith, great job.
It's not the man keeping you down. It's Kenny Caraway. Also, the Chargers lost. Like the Chargers, they're going to have a tough time. Like this, they feel a little bit different than the 49ers. Is the 49ers got hit with a rash of injuries now? Okay, maybe they're starting to get some guys back. It feels like the Chargers just get hit with waves of injuries. No one's back yet. We just got hit with another wave of injuries. It's like COVID for the Chargers. Like, no, COVID's not gone. There's just a new variant that's attacking everybody. Like, the Chargers just can't get right. They can't fight themselves out of this.
For whatever reason, it doesn't matter the talent that they bring in. It just doesn't seem to matter. They still find a way to get hurt or lose close games or lose games they should win.
Well, Bosa seemed to be the center of multiple universes right now. And when a Bosa doesn't play, that's a problem.
Oh, and let me say two things about that as well. The Bosa, 97 for the 49ers. And he's a phenomenal player. He's been having a great year so far this year. Well, just great. Mm-hmm. Damn, Andy Reid played his ass like a fiddle yesterday. Wow. Oh my goodness. That was one of the great coaches of all time saying, I know what to do against you.
Yeah.
Played him like a fiddle.
And it was glaring. It was like, I mean, obviously for us, it was glaring.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing about it is, I just want to say something now. Everybody always says all the time, Casey, you be so hard on the Raiders. You be so hard on the Raiders. You always talking crazy about the Raiders, all this other stuff. I say all the time, I don't say anything about the Raiders until Raider fans start coming at 49er fans. And then I just got to say what I got to say. All right. I'm the one that said they could possibly win in Monday night in Kansas City. They've got all the weapons. They can go. I'm the one that just said I could see them winning their next 6 games. They have all the tools in the world. I always keep it a stack, and I don't bother nobody until they bother me. I say all this to say, when the Cowboys season ends, Rob W's to blame, Cowboy fans, for what I'm about to do to you guys when you inevitably, because I'm never wrong on this. I told you about the Dodgers, told you about the Packers last year. I'll tell you about the Cowboys. When your season ends in a glorious choking fashion, and what I'm about to do to the Cowboys when that happens, blame Rob W, everybody. Blame Rob W. It wasn't me. I don't say nothing about the Cowboys. It wasn't me. But blame him. Because I'm going in.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC, where we literally take 5 minutes to talk to one singular person watching on YouTube. On KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM KRXQ, HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge, always live on the free Odyssey app, available on your smartphone or tablet. So the 49ers lose, the Raiders win, and the Sacramento Kings drop both games over the weekend. It looks like there's no practice for them today. At least there's no media availability for them today. My guess is they had today off, and they'll head into practice tomorrow, gearing up for a Thursday matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. We noted this earlier. It's worth pointing out. We think and we'll talk to James Ham about this coming up in about an hour, because I know Mike Brown did address this in the postgame to a certain degree. There's probably some changes coming. Most people think the most obvious one is Keegan Murray into the starting lineup. The question has become, will that be for Harrison Barnes or will that be for KZ Okpala? Over the last 2 games, we saw Keegan Murray start the second half for KZ Okpala, and we saw him start the second half for Harrison Barnes. So what exactly that means potentially for Thursday's game, we'll probably find out. And the way Mike Brown is, we'll probably find out at about 6:30 on Thursday. But I also think we could see some other changes. I think we may see the rotation get a little tightened up. And I think we just may see some changes. And I know, like, it was cool to see Rashawn play well yesterday, and Rashawn was a part of that group that, made that late game run. But you kind of noted this, and I'm not saying this in an effort to take away from Rashawn Holmes and what he did yesterday. I'm saying it in an effort to add complete context to yesterday's game. You used the phrase earlier. This was an offensive game. The guys were not playing defense. It wasn't just the Sacramento Kings that didn't play defense last night. I don't think Steve Kerr is necessarily thrilled that his squad gave up 125. So it was kind of the flow of the game, and Rashawn did his part. He did very well. He looked comfortable on the offensive end for, it feels like, the first time in an eternity. And I just, at the same time, I don't really know what to make of his numbers. I really don't know what to make of his offensive performance. Like, if that's Rashawn, that's beautiful. I love it. Let's go. But I'm not sure that it is.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, I think that I do believe that's who he could be on this team. You know, I do.
If he's that aggressive, like I'm all for it. Like he looked comfortable around the rim. We saw, I don't know that we saw the push shot as much as we saw like a push-ish shot where it looked more like it didn't look like that beautiful patent thing but he looked really comfortable around the rim, just kind of dropping, dropping shots into the bucket. Like it was the best he's looked all year in my estimation. But again, that was kind of the flow of the game. But if you're right, if that's what Rashawn could be, if he could be that level of if he could have that level of comfort each night on the offensive end, they're going to need it. Like the bench, that's one thing that stood out for most of these games. Again, last night is definitely an outlier in this conversation, but the bench has to be stronger. I mean, Malik Monk, I don't think Malik Monk scored on Saturday.
Yeah, and that can't happen.
Malik Monk didn't score on Saturday.
Yeah, that can't happen at all. He was subpar in the first game of the season as well. But I would say this in defense of Monk and guys who stepped up their game. He answered the call a little bit yesterday. Yesterday was probably a game meant a little bit more for him, right? And so I shouldn't even say that because he can score against tough defenses too. But it was a flowing game offensively, and he answered the call. He had some, he was doing some good stuff in his first stint in that game. But back to your Rashawn comment, though. I mean, I just numbers wise, like right now he's at 6 points. 3.5, 3.7 rebounds a night. I could see him doing a little bit more. With that time. Last night he was like 18 points or
like 15 points? Like 15 or 16.
I don't know. Clearly. I don't think he's going to average that, but I think he can.
But he also took 8 shots, which he didn't do. Like he took 2 against LA. Right. I can pull up what he took against Portland. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's the other component. He took one shot against Portland.
Yeah, I can't.
In roughly the same time. It was 14 minutes against Portland, like 12 minutes against the Clippers, and it was only 16 minutes last night. So it's not like he played a ton.
One of the things that I'd like to see a little bit is the numbers with who he was on the court with, because I feel like I could be wrong. Yesterday he was on the court with Fox and Keegan.
He stayed out there a lot, because I think as the game got in the deciding moment, I don't think they put Sabonis back in. I don't think Mike put Sabonis back in. I think he rode with. I have to go back and look at that, but I feel like Rashawn was out there in the key moment. Sabonis may have gone in late, but the key part of that run, Rashawn was out there for with Keegan.
So. Let me just ask you, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more with James Ham and everything like that. But, overall, I don't, you mentioned it before, it doesn't look the same. I think they're playing, or they're attempting to play, a better brand of basketball. And it doesn't, when I say the same, it doesn't look the same as like middle of the season last year, right after, they lost to Philly at home, the Scranton 47ers or whatever it is. I see them working. I see them trying. Maybe there's a couple of adjustments that could help them get over the hump. Keegan getting into the starting lineup, possibly shortening the rotation a little bit. Maybe those little things could help them get over the hump a little bit. I don't want to say I'm encouraged by these first 3 games, but I'm not discouraged like others seem to be. I see what's going on. In my opinion, I see what's going on, and I think these things are fixable, and are things that they can rebound from.
I 100%. I'm not even at the point of, I'm not discouraged by the way this team is playing, because I do think they have, for the most part, played well. Yesterday, again, I really don't think they played well yesterday. I don't know what to make of that run at the end of the game. The beginning of the game was frustrating. Like it was one of those things where 10-0, 12-2, whatever it is. Like, are I really just want to watch this episode of Raising Kanan. Like, I don't want to wait 2 hours to watch this. Like, I don't want to sit through the rest of this game. And then, you know, it really had no ebb and flow to it. It was just essentially the Warriors were up by like 20 the whole game. Now, it didn't get worse. It just kind of stayed in that 15 to 20 range until the big run in the fourth quarter. One thing
and real quick, though, I'll say it wasn't always like that, though. Like, because once it got out of control, which I was so furious. I took some notes as I was watching the game. And I was like, every time they play the Warriors, especially it feels like in Oracle or Chase, they just look like they play so stupid. I'm not calling them stupid, but the turnovers, they've never seen a backdoor cut on defense in life. Nobody knows what help. Like, it's just, a screen's coming. I don't know what happens. Wide open shot, Clay, step. Like, it's like, this is not how you guys play a lot of the time. But against the Warriors, and the Warriors make them pay every time. Like, it follows the same script, right? And that's how the game started. It angered me. Where it was at 15, all this other stuff, it wasn't there, though, for after that, it almost bookended, right? Let's just say first 4 minutes, final 4 minutes. That's when it got out of control. In between there, the Kings were playing good basketball in that first half. Like, it was like a 2-point game.
Final 4 minutes of the first half?
First half. That's when it got out of control. But in between then, like at the end of the quarter, it was a 3-point game. For much of the second quarter, it was a 5 or below type game. They didn't start the game well. They didn't close the half well. And I don't want to say that's where they lost it, but those are two areas where it can't happen.
Well, yeah, the third was relatively even. So whatever they were at, the 18-point lead or whatever it was at halftime, it just stayed there until the fourth, which is when I wrote the show, and then the lead got cut to 4.
Yeah, then they won the fourth.
One thing that I really like that Mike has done these 3 games is, and we speculated about this after the Portland game, after the opener with Terrence Davis, because Terrence Davis, obviously Keegan Murray was out, so there's kind of that caveat to that. But Terrence Davis, I think, wound up playing 25 minutes, and he was really, really effective in the time that he played. And we speculated, though, maybe he's just going to ride the hot hand with some of these guys who can shoot the ball. And I think we saw that last night, even though Kevin Huerter still played 30 minutes. Malik Monk, coming off a game where he didn't hit a field goal, he wound up playing close to 30 minutes last night because Mike was like, he's got the hot hand. Let's ride with him. Let's keep him out there. He was a part of that bench unit that cut the lead down quite a bit. And that, I know some people have frustrations with him, people who know Mike Brown from his previous stints in the league, fans who know Mike Brown from his previous stints in the league would often be, he talks about detail. They'd often be frustrated with his, way of substitutions. And it feels like right now he is 100% coaching on a feel and allowing these guys, whether it be Malik Monk last night or Terrence Davis on opening night, allowing those guys to rock if the shot is falling for them and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing on the defensive end, which no one was doing last night. So that's far from the fault of Malik Monk.
No, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I think about.
I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it.
I think a little bit more about what you talked about. I think you mentioned this earlier, and there's a little bit of a solution to this potential problem, if it is a problem. You mentioned shortening the rotation, and I mean, now that I think about it, maybe it's not a problem at all, right? Maybe this doesn't fix anything, because I was thinking if you make the switch in the starting lineup, then it's for Keegan coming in for KZ. That's one player that's out of the rotation and other things will balance. But as I talk about it, KZ only plays 4 minutes. Like, it's not like he's taking a bunch of minutes from somebody and it's messing up the rotation. Like,
but I mean, he played 3 minutes last night. He played 18 minutes in the LA game, which was a close game throughout. But the question is, when do you insert KZ Okpala? Like, if he's not
starting, he's not playing.
So he's out. And then, I don't foresee Chimezie Metu playing. And so you kind of cut that. Trey Lyles already didn't play versus the Clippers. And now it's just a matter of how much does how much do guys like Rashawn and Malik Monk play? I mean, I think Davion's going to play. Davion's the guy who I was talking about earlier, where I just need some help on. Last night he picked up 4 fouls, I think, in 6 seconds.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't think that was pretty insane.
That was a matchup. That's a matchup I was looking forward to as well. Him versus Jordan Poole, and he just never got a chance to get started.
No, and so that kind of that derailed that game a little bit. But I don't really know what Davion has been this season, and I preached all off season he's going to have a role this year, and he clearly has a role. He is the guard to lead that second unit. I just don't know how well that's going. Small sample size, 3 games, it's all we got to work with. But I think the question still remains fair, is I don't know how well that's going.
One of the things,
and I think that's probably a polite way of putting it.
That's very nice of you.
Thank you. I'm working on
one of the things about that, though, which is interesting, is yesterday, I think I had it in these notes, but I think I remembered it. I think De'Aaron Fox came out at the 2-minute mark of the first quarter. And that's what I want. I want De'Aaron Fox playing major minutes. And the adverse effect of that is Davion may not be able to play as many. And I don't know how that's going to affect his game or anything like that. But I want, it's not a knock on Davion, but I want more Fox. I need him out there 33 minutes a night at least.
Let's talk more about this, because again, 2 hours, 13 minutes into the show, and still have not praised De'Aaron Fox for how well he's played to start this season. So we'll talk more Kings basketball. James Ham coming up at the top of the hour as we continue here with this 49ers Monday, brought to you by Gilmore Heating, Air, and Plumbing. You get more with Gilmore on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Be right back.
No 13th round. I don't think there was any boxing this weekend, by the way. I could. No, I take that back. I take that. There's going to be a 13th round right now. Yeah, take that back. Get my. Yeah, absolutely. Let me get it going. All right. 13th round. What's your main man, Kenny Caraway? Shout out to my people over at Meister Watches, always doing what they do. Shout out to Donna's Dope, collaborating with D-Lo and Casey, doing what he does. Big ups to the people over at Jordan Brand. Meister, Ryan, Jovan, the whole crew, all my people. Big ups to them. The fight of the year, the fight of the century or whatever, isn't happening next. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen at all. Because on Thursday night, Terrence Crawford came out and had this long spiel as he talked to Mike Coppinger about how he is signed up to fight a fight against, I got to be honest with you, Arvin Cien, I don't know how to say his name. I barely remember who he is. And Terrence Crawford has walked away from negotiations for the Errol Spence fight to fight this guy, Arvin Cien. I once again, don't know how to say his name. On something called Black Planet Network. Is that what it is? The Black, I don't know, BLK. I don't even know what this is. On pay-per-view. And he wants to talk to Coppinger about how he met all the demands that PBC was making, but he never heard from Errol Spence, and he had to go on. And after he fights this, he still wants to fight Errol. Let's just say what it is. I like him as a talent. I think he's unbelievably talented, one of the best boxers in the game, one of the best in the world. Terrence Crawford does not want to face Errol Spence, and he never has. I'm sick of the fake energy. I'm sick of the fake hustle. I've been saying this for years now, and it's come to fruition. He does not want to face Errol Spence. I don't believe a word that he said to Mike Coppinger. I don't believe a word that he was talking about before. I'll leave you guys with this. Errol Spence, Al Heyman. Number one, when has Al Heyman ever looked at somebody and not gotten them paid? ever. That's not what happens. They get paid. And number two, when has an Errol Spence fight ever been this hard to negotiate? And then you add that with the fact that you're talking about Terrence Crawford, who has only fought 3 times in 4 years, and all the issues that he had at Top Rank getting fights. Who is it par for the course for? Doesn't seem like it's par for the course for PBC and Errol Spence. And I'm not even saying it as some kind of fanboy. I'm just looking at the facts. Terrence routinely has an issue. These two sides really never have an issue with what's being accused of them. And you tell me who's not making the fight. And that's the 13th round. I had to go over to 220. I had to go. That's going to be a 2-parter on Twitter. It is. It's nasty, bro. It's nasty. Nasty. Terrence Crawford has never wanted to make this fight. He's had at least 2 opportunities to make this fight. He had a situation where he was a free agent and he could have signed and fought Errol Spence, and he chose to take a 5-fight deal with Top Rank. He chose to do that. This is another instance where he could have had the fight. He chose to move on somewhere else. And like I said, if negotiations weren't real and all this other stuff, Errol Spence was like, well, bro, why did you do all this? I could have fought in November. He held everybody up. My theory, my thought is Crawford has always been waiting for Spence to move up, which looks like maybe happening at this point. He does not, I don't know why. I'm not saying it like he's scared or not talented or nothing like. He is one of the best fighters in the world. For whatever reason, he has never wanted to fight Errol Spence, and I can't understand it because Terrence is sick. That boy can go. It's not talent. He's never wanted to fight Errol Spence. I believe that with my heart. There's 2 sides, the right side and the wrong side, and I'm on the right side. Those are the 2 damn sides. Simple as that. Well, once again, like I said, since we got extended breaks now, I told you guys, just look at the pattern. Errol Spence and Al Heyman have never had an issue in negotiation with fights this big. Hell, they even made something work for Wilder and Fury on 3 occasions. They've never had these issues. Terrence Crawford has fought 3 times in 4 years. And it's this promotional, it's Bob's fault, it's everybody's fault. Terrence, you got, all right, Jay Hardaway and everybody else, you explain to me why Terrence Crawford always got issues and Errol Spence never has issues getting a fight done. Terrence always does. But this time it's supposed to be Errol Spence's fault? Stop, bro. Stop. It's a pattern. We've seen it. Like I said, he had 2 opportunities. Turned all the way up, Damian.
I'm just minding my own business. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's all.
Can you believe this guy had the audacity to walk away from negotiations? He wasted everybody's time for the last 3-4 months. Like Errol Spence said, I could have fought November if you were going to do this.
If you would like to know what the hell Kenny is talking about, you can check out the 13th round exclusively on youtube.com/ESPN1320. If you're watching there, become a subscriber and hit the thumbs up as well. Don't be a little looky-loo. Don't be shy. No one's tracking your search history. Hit the thumbs up. We know you out there watching. It's all love. I got this note on Twitter. And Soulful1 proposed it to me, so I want to propose it to you.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. We've talked about potential changes in the starting lineup and Keegan Murray coming in, and would KZ be going out? Would Harrison Barnes be going out? What if they both did? The message says we need to start Monk and Murray and slide Herter over to the 3. That would give us 3 3-point shooters to surround Fox and Ox. And then he expresses his disappointment in Harrison Barnes.
I'm not against that at all. I'm not.
Someone does have to score though with that second group. So who's that going to be?
Maybe it's
Harrison.
Maybe it is Harrison. Maybe look. Maybe Harrison's at the point of his career where he can't score at a high level against starters. Maybe he's better suited for getting his buckets off the bench and against the second unit. Maybe. I don't know. I really like Harrison Barnes, the ball player, and the idea of him. I do. But I have to go off of what I'm seeing, what he's producing right now. And right now, I see that he's not producing much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more than a 3-game thing. This is the same Harrison we had for good parts of last year. And it would be perfect if Harrison was able to start along with Keegan, Herter, Sabonis, and Fox. Be perfect. You get 4, 5 established. Well, Keegan's not established, but 5, legit starters. That's the idea of Harrison Barnes. But he's not playing like a starting caliber player right now. He doesn't defend and he doesn't score. So what are you doing out there on the first team?
I got you. Do we also need Davion to take a bigger role in his approach to scoring, or is Davion capable of being a consistent double-digit scorer like we saw it when De'Aaron was out last year with Tyrese? I can't remember if that was last year. That had to have been last year. He was a rookie last year. We saw him have a stretch where it's like, oh, okay, he could put up points out there. He was playing far bigger minutes in that starter role. But it feels like he's capable of scoring, and I'm not talking about 20 plus, though we saw that from him. I'm talking about, I feel like Davion's capable of giving you 14, 15, 16 on a very regular basis. But it doesn't feel like he is right now.
So here's the thing that I look at with Davion, and I want to see if maybe he can find a way around this. This isn't rocket science or anything, but the more he plays, the more minutes he plays in a game, the more he produces, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I get that.
That makes complete sense.
That makes perfect sense, right? But he's not getting those minutes this year. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like the 14 that he had last night, maybe that's a little exaggerated, but like 14 to 18 minutes a night, because I just said before we went to break, I want De'Aaron playing 33 minutes a night. Monk is going to be playing his minutes, and Herter and all this other stuff. If you're trying to find minutes from Terrence Davis, that's going to get in the day. Like I don't see Davion playing like when he started playing well last year. The minutes he got, I don't see him.
They were big minutes.
Yeah, he's not getting anywhere close to those minutes. So
those minutes might have even come after Tyrese was gone and De'Aaron was hurt. It may have been just him.
Yeah. So my question for Davion, I don't have an answer. Like I know what I hope happens. I hope he finds in 14 minutes or 18 minutes that he can find a way to ball out. You know what I mean? But can he? Is he somebody that can do that in that amount of time? Or for him to ultimately be as successful as we're looking for him to be, he needs 25 to 30 minutes. Because if that's what it is, he's not going to get that. So we're going to be underwhelmed. I hope he's one of those guys that can find it in the time that he has. Like just whatever. Like when he's out there, if it's for 14 minutes or 30 minutes, it's just impactful. Like you just know he's out there. But right now it leans towards if it's only about 14 to 17 minutes, you kind of don't know he's out there.
But that's a little, is that a little unfair to him given what his role is with that unit? Like I obviously I'm asking if he's capable of scoring more with that group, but he's also the facilitator of that group. He's also the one who has to get them into their offense. Like if we're going to praise Terrence Davis for what he did in the opening night's game, Davion probably deserves a little bit of praise too, because he was the one running that offense most of the time that Terrence was in there.
Yeah. I understand the unfair. Here's the answer I think I have to it. to get if he's playing those minutes and how he's going to produce and be impactful. In my opinion, with his game, I think you got to get up and down the court a lot more than what you do. Like, it's got to be a fast-paced game. And I think that's where he can flourish offensively. His defensive, he'd be able to play defense up tempo or in a half court. That doesn't matter. But to get the most out of him offensively, obviously you got to get stops to do it the best way possible. But I think it's got to be a high up tempo game with him getting the ball up the court and starting early offense and looking to go downhill a lot of the times. In the half court, I don't know, because the thing that worries me is like because of his spotty shooting and the fact that he doesn't always finish well around the rim in the half court, and he's not a great free throw shooter. Like I'm thinking about, like, when is he going to get the points in the half court? Like, when is it going to happen? If his jump shot's on, he can get it that way, but we don't know if it's always on. So if we get up and down the court, it feels like he can get out, distribute the ball in like 3-on-2 fast breaks a little bit more, because he is a point guard by nature too, and he's a good passer. So he can get that aspect into the game, and maybe he can get some finishes at the rim a little easier than maybe he's able to in a half court set.
I don't think the Kings know how to play physical yet. And I think that's kind of what we were discussing earlier. They've committed a lot of fouls in these 3 games, particularly opening night and last night. I think they just called a foul a couple of minutes ago during that last commercial break, probably on Davion Mitchell. The way Davion's not, he's probably been called for 2 more fouls today.
That was a bit of a death blow when I saw them getting that penalty so early in the second quarter. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that's not a good sign.
I know I guess this isn't hard to put together given his outputs, but I didn't recognize it until Deuce Mason said it on Night Chat last night or this morning. Harrison hasn't made a 3 this season.
How many is he taking?
Again, I'm not even remotely trying to pick on Harrison Barnes. It's just it's one of the things that's really glaring. He was 0 for 2 against Portland. He was 0 for 3 against the Clippers on Saturday night, and he was he only took 1 shot yesterday, and it wasn't a 3. He was 0 for 0 yesterday against the Golden State Warriors.
And that's where, and I'll address it with Ham a little bit. I remember when I said I don't think he's a good 3-point shooter. And then Ham came back at me with the numbers. And the numbers say he's a good 3-point shooter. I can't dispute the numbers. I've watched every game these guys have played for the last 2 years or so while having this show. And I've never put it to you like this. I never looked at Harrison the way I look at Keegan.
Well, we probably looked at very few people the way we've looked at Keegan Murray, but
right?
I know what you mean by that.
Like, yeah. I've never thought that way about Harrison Barnes. And I don't think he's going to be a 0% 3-point shooter this year. He'll probably find a way to get up to that 37 number that he has or whatever. But I never thought that was like a strong part of his game. And yeah, when it was brought up, like, yeah, you need him out there for shooting because he's a good 3-point shooter. I was like, he is a good 3-point shooter. I don't think he's like this. He's like an average 3-point shooter at best. But like I said, you throw out the numbers, and the numbers show that he's above average. That he's a really good 3-point shooter. But I just don't get that feeling from him. I always thought Harrison was at his best when he was attacking the basket. And there were certain mismatches that he would get because of his size, where he would get, maybe if somebody was going small, he'd have that guy, in the torture chamber in the post and go up on him real quick, or be able to finish a drive from the top of the key and have a smaller guy on his hip and his shoulder, and he could finish over. That's where I always thought he was at his best, when he was attacking, not with him like camping out behind the 3-point line.
I don't know how to. I guess it just becomes figure out a way to get him involved on the offensive end. Maybe there's more possessions for him on the Maybe there's more possessions for him on the offensive end on the bench in the second unit. We talk about if you move Keegan out there, obviously there'll be Malik Monk. Now, what about the idea of moving them both in there, sliding Kevin Huerter down to the 3? All I know, the team is 0-3. You got to start winning games. I don't think you have to do a complete overhaul of what your strategy coming in was, but I do think some changes need to be made. You can't have 4 points from your 2 forwards. You can't. I mean, shoot, they played a combined 24 minutes yesterday. You can't have that. And the fact that you have a player readily available on your bench, he's a rookie, like that's fine, but he's a player. Like no one looks at this kid and goes, "Oh man, I don't know. He's not ready. We got him." That's the response sometimes. You got to bring him in slowly. He's not an NFL quarterback. Like he's not about to get sacked by 97. Like, no, you don't. Like it's basketball. Put him out there and let him play basketball. Orlando isn't easing into things with Paolo Banchero. That's going pretty well for Paolo.
Yeah.
Paolo was a ready NBA player.
Yeah.
Keegan Murray is a ready NBA player. Put him out there, let him play his 38 some odd minutes or whatever in the starting lineup with the rest of the.
Benedict Mathurin is a ready NBA player. My goodness. Woo. Woo.
Yeah, I was looking at
killing.
I was looking at Indiana box scores over the weekend.
Yeah. He's coming off the bench too, by the way.
Yeah, it's not what caught my eye.
I see what else is going on over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not what caught my eye. I was like, oh, this is not going to go over well. Thankfully, Indiana stinks. So there's that. But I just kept looking at that like this is not going to go over well if this continues.
He's going to continue. He's a good ball player. He can do that. But like you said,
he's putting up major numbers over there.
We're talking about Tyrese, by the way. Tyrese is
everybody knows who we're talking about.
Tyrese is balling to start the season.
He's playing ridiculous.
Yeah, he's balling. But go
ahead.
I was just gonna say because let's nip that in the bud. And I'm sure we're gonna have to talk about this 20 more times in the next month. Okay.
Year, but yeah, go ahead.
There's another guy that's balling too, and that stayed.
Yeah.
And what he's doing and what Tyrese was doing was never going to happen together. It was never going to happen together. You're going to have to move one and take your pick on. They took their pick with Fox, and Tyrese would have been doing that. Now he probably still would have been losing like he was doing it in Indiana. And Fox might have still been, if he got traded to Indiana, he might be losing it over there. But as far as the production, they were both going to ball without each other.
I'm glad you said that because that's the part that with Tyrese, you kind of got to keep the same energy. You've been so critical of Fox for the way that he's played and the team's not winning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just remember that. Just store that in the back of your brain for those who wish they had traded somebody else. Just store that in the back of your brain when you're looking at the way someone's playing and juxtapose that with their record.
That's it.
You got it. You got to do both. And this has to be. Matt George tweeted. I'll paraphrase him a little bit. It's just got to be so gutting that Fox is in the past has put together some really great performances and losses. But what he's done the first 3 games of the season has to be the most difficult for him because this team is supposed to be better. And again, I do believe that this team is better. But the fact that he's had outings of 36 points, like he scored 30 to open the season, twice. He didn't have 30 last night, but he finished with 26 and 10, 26, 5 and 10. Like he's just been, everyone, you got to tone down those turnovers. You got to tone down those turnovers. He did. Since the opening game, like those turnovers that frustrated him and frustrated so many people in that opening night against Portland. Those are gone.
Right.
And he's been incredible. He's been absolutely incredible.
I wasn't on the air that day, obviously. Well, I was for a second, but I wasn't on the air that day after the game. A lot of people were going in on Fox for the turnovers. A lot of them He had some in the fourth quarter. I think he had 3 in the fourth quarter. And he had a lot earlier. You got to take care of the basketball. I mean, people got to. What do they want from this guy?
Yeah,
like, what do they want from him?
Yeah.
Like, he had 36, 6 and 6 to start the season. Then the only thing anybody wanted to talk about was his 8 turnovers. And I remember I was listening to you guys, and somebody was like, he took this ridiculous step back in the corner. What are you doing? Actually, it was a good shot that went in and out like 2 times before popping out.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he hits a major 3 in the corner that gave them a lead. Like, I ain't saying he's perfect, but that game particularly is not a game where I'm going to look at De'Aaron Fox and be like, he's got to be so much better, or he can't lead them to victory. No, not that game. Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? That when the guys went up 33, 6 and 6 in like a 2-point loss. Like, I'm not, no.
I had to look something up. I thought I was imagining something. YouTube.com/ESPN1320. Kevin Russ, unless he's having a conversation with someone else, we're talking about De'Aaron Fox. He says he needs more assists. And I was like, wait, man, okay, let me take a peek at this. Dude's averaging 7 assists. How many would you like him to average? Like, man, my man is averaging 31, 6-ish, and 7 right now. 31, 5.7, and 7 assists. Come on, man.
He's playing really well to start the season.
But by the way, and he's also doing it on 59% from the field, 45% from 3.
That's the scary one.
And 71% from the free throw line.
71 is not anywhere near where I'd want him to be, but that's better than the 60 something he was at one point last year. When I say the 3-point is scary, is all right. We all know it's not going to be 45 forever. I think he could average, or not average. I think he could shoot 40 something % from the field. You know, from the field in general. But the 3-point shot, it's clearly going to dip, but like, make sure it doesn't dip into bad territory. Like, if it doesn't do that, then it's a guy that's going to average 27 a night. I think he's been really good. He's another one that I want to see in transition a little bit more. As good as he's been, like, I just want to see that be part of this Kings team a little bit more. And they're scoring points and they're doing some stuff, but there's too many times where I see them. I don't know. Maybe it's just a figment. Maybe Will Z could tell me they're second in fast break points. I don't know, but it feels like.
You mean at the rim or just in transition?
Just in transition. You get the ball, you get a steal. Let's push that thing up a little bit. Let's push it up. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just not seeing it.
Well, I feel like they are. I don't know that they did, and this was probably by Ty Lue design. I don't know that they did against the Clippers. I feel like they tried, though, and this was the Clippers game I was thinking about. There are plays there with De'Aaron Fox, because we've talked about this in years past, where whoever is inbounding the ball is going to get it, and he starts motioning to the officials, "Give me the ball, give me the ball. We want to move." And I don't know who but I remember this. I remember one play that specifically that type of thing. It was a sideline out of bounds. Give me the ball. They got him the ball inbound to De'Aaron. It obviously wasn't transition. It was that ball. But they I think their idea is to move fast, because they headed right up the floor, got into the offense relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. They didn't get anything out of that possession. Now that I'm thinking about the play in its entirety, yeah, that was one of those frustrating Sabonis at the basket play. They probably got the exact shot they want, though, to be fair. They probably got exactly what they were hoping to get. It was just one of those stretches where it didn't, in that Clipper game, where it didn't fall for Sabonis.
And that's absolutely fine. That's fine. You know what I'm saying?
Kings are first in fast break points this season.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it probably doesn't match up with the numbers. I just feel like just watching them, I feel like I want to see them in the open court a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Not a whole lot. But I want to see Fox, getting a rebound, pushing it up the floor, looking to score, at the rim a couple times. Maybe that's what it is, an at the rim.
That might be what you're because it feels like a lot of those wind up, and we could do the math on this. A lot of that feels like it winds up being transition threes.
Yeah.
Which, if they fall, great.
Right.
If they don't, go to the basket. Why didn't you go to the basket? It's all dependent on the outcome of the shot.
Yeah.
In that moment.
3 watch for the Kings. 3 watch. We watched their threes. Only 11 last night. 25% from me. 11 of 43 though, so they still got them up, but they just didn't hit.
Oh, they were letting them fly, and that's where I feel like games against, and this could be true for any team that you're playing, but I think it's specifically plays to when you're playing a good team like the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors just came out hitting everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the Kings were trying to get it all back, like right away with a couple of shots. Like, okay, we've got it. Well, Steph hit a 3, so we got to hit a 3. Well, Steph hit another 3, so we've got to hit a 3. They just keep hitting these 3s. We've got to hit 3s instead of, just go play ball. Just go get a basket.
So
and that's how a 6-0 lead turns to a 12-0 lead, is because you keep trying to catch up with one shot.
So let me ask you this though. Do you think that it's them trying to get it back, or that's just how they play?
See, that's it. That's a great question, and I'm going to attempt to answer that when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leader. James Ham coming up at the top of the hour on ESPN 1320. 21.3 points per game. It's pretty impressive for them. Yeah, Fox is playing really, really well, man. Super efficient. Let's try to catch up on some of this conversation. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both too. We'll talk about that when we get back on the radio. Fox shooting 60 from the field. Yeah, it's impressive, man. I if he keeps up some semblance of that, man, it's just a really great start to the season for him. That's a great point. I'm gonna write that down. I want to bring that up too. Yeah, he's really, really active. Yeah, that was tough. But credit, I gotta go back and watch the end of that one. I felt like the Clippers got a little strong-armed him a little bit on the defensive end. Like, I don't feel like he passed things up, but when there's 2 games over the weekend, I could be wrong about that. Fox, Herder, Murray. Yeah. I agree. Show us the Tribe shirt. Oh, it says Corners of the Culture. It's a Corners of the Culture shirt, man. It's our podcast right here. Yeah. This is one of our samples, man. I'm happy. This t-shirt's not that, but I actually kind of like this t-shirt. I think it's a little heavier than the ones we went with, though. But yeah, this is the Corners of the Culture doing. The print looks super sharp on it. Yeah, this is good stuff right here. Yeah, Corners of the Culture, man. Go to DLoandKC.com. We got a lot of where'd you go, White Sneakers? We got a lot of album themed shirts over there on the website. Jesse, I got one of the samples to bring in for you. It's a medium. It's one of the Jay-Z ones. Feel. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad. Hey, credit to Kenny and the Dope Ones for that. Kenny had the idea of the 22-2s, and the Dope Ones executed it to perfection. So credit to those guys. DLoandKC.com. That's where you get them at. DLoandKC.com. Yeah, they up, baby. They up there. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You could argue Paolo Banchero is the most important player on the Orlando Magic. He's a rookie. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It means he's good. It means they got the pick right. Well, here's the difference, though, Gilbert. Like, the Lakers are legitimately shit. Like, they're terrible. Like, they're garbage. Like, you don't watch the Lakers and go, oh, no, this is an okay team. Like, they could survive. They could survive. No, they're bad, and they know they're bad. That's why they're making, like, 50-11 excuses. Like, they're just bad. I don't think the Kings are bad. The record is, but I don't think they are. You can watch the show on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320 as well. We're available on the Odyssey app. James Ham set to join us coming up here at the very top of the 3 o'clock hour. I'll bring this conversation here to the radio if I can find it. Our man Gilberto says, mainstream media ready to hit the panic button for the Lakers, but we got the same record and we saying it's a long season. That doesn't make me feel well. I was telling Gilberto during the commercial break, like, man, these are not the same thing. The Lakers stink. If you've watched the Lakers play, they're a bad basketball team for 1,000 different reasons, none of which involve Russell Westbrook. They're just bad. They're not good. I don't watch the Kings and go, they're bad. Like, expectations are different, and I think that has to play a part in the conversation as well. Like, the Lakers and perhaps delusional Laker fans in their own brain, maybe they had expectations for this season. Every other NBA fan with common sense knew what we were looking at with the Los Angeles Lakers. We knew that wasn't a good team, and we knew it was going to take superhuman efforts from LeBron James and Anthony Davis to get it done. And both of those guys have been fine, and it's not enough. They're just, that basketball team isn't good enough. The 76ers probably feel some type of way right now, but I don't think they feel like their season's over. No. I don't hear Joel Embiid or Doc Rivers talking about they need shooters or they can't throw a penny in the ocean or whatever different lines LeBron has used over the course of the last couple of days. Like, they've got some things they got to clean up. They got to be better. I personally think they got to run their offense through Joel Embiid and not James Harden, but that's just my opinion. I'm the resident James Harden hater, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And then you've got the Sacramento Kings. I think these are 3 different 0-3 teams that have, 3 different feelings about, where they are. The Lakers are lying to anyone. Like, if LeBron James thinks that team is a title contending team, he's just lying to himself. Philadelphia is, and this Sacramento Kings team is not bad. No. All 3 of those things are true.
And to be completely honest, I think the Kings are better than the Lakers, but let's not even say who's better, nothing like that. At the very least,
there's no evidence that they're not, given that they're both 0-3.
Right. But let's just say they're both on the same tier, which is what we said at the beginning. We said it's going to be Kings, Lakers, and Blazers fighting for the last playoff spot, play-in spot, whatever. The Lakers being 0-3 doesn't disqualify them from the 10th seed, same way it doesn't. The reason why people are panicking, like you pointed out, is, they're thinking championship with Lakers and LeBron. Yeah, I'd panic for that too. First of all, you shouldn't panic because it was never going to happen. But it's clear as day, they're not a championship team. They get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. They're still not a championship team. But if you're talking about them trying to get into the play-in, just like the Kings, there's nothing to panic about there. They can still achieve that. Like I thought you laid it out perfectly. It's all about the expectations, fairly or unfairly, what the expectations are. But that's what it's really about. Nothing to panic about. And you're talking about getting into the play-in playoff situation, there's nothing to panic about.
And the noise in Philly is loud because Philly's expectations aren't playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're at worst conference finals. Really, their expectation should be NBA championship,
right?
NBA
and
finals.
even then, the noise in Philly, if Belo and JC on WIP, the 2 seconds they talk about the Sixers, because I know for 4-hour show they probably spent $355 on their team going to the World Series, which is what they should do. But the seconds they talk about the Sixers,
I feel like they probably spent it all talking about the Eagles.
Eagles. Well, the Eagles didn't play yesterday, so but they still might talk about how anyway.
Right.
Yeah, that's the Eagles number one out there. But even when they do, I would say the same thing. I'd be like, calm down. 3-game stretch. This is still supposed to be one of the better teams in the East and better teams in the NBA. And that's who I think they're going to be. They have not started the season off the way you'd wanted them to. They had a bad loss mixed in there. All right, cool. It's 3 games. 3-game start.
I saw a sentence you don't see very often. I don't remember who it was. Someone went into concussion protocol.
Brandon Ingram.
Oh, it was Ingram. I kept thinking it's not Zion. Who was it? Yes, Brandon Ingram went into concussion protocol.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know what the NBA do they put him in a blue tent and like evaluate him? Like what's the NBA's concussion protocol?
Yeah, I'm
not familiar.
Can I ask you something real quick though? About
how the hell are the Utah Jazz 3-0? Oh, it wasn't that? Okay,
no, definitely wasn't that. Shout out to our guy Will, our guy William. With the Kings, seen him in the hallway on opening night.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, I heard about that.
He got my DMs. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, man.
But I got to tip my hat to him. I don't think it's gonna last, but at least for a week, he spot on. He said the Jazz. He's like the Jazz gonna be better than everybody think. We were like, well, be quiet. Be quiet.
I mean, they can still be 3-79, just like the Sacramento Kings can still be 79-3.
Absolutely.
But I don't think anyone pegged the Utah Jazz at being 3.
Good wins too against good teams.
Yeah, Denver, Minnesota,
and New Orleans.
Yeah.
So big ups to them. But what I was going to ask you though was, did you see LeBron's response in the press conference to the game yesterday? Yeah, yesterday after and they asked him about Westbrook's shot.
Sorry, I just chuckled realizing Portland, Utah, Milwaukee, and Boston are the 4 undefeated teams in the NBA. I didn't. The only thing I saw from LeBron was the clip of the
actual on the court.
I did. I saw that too.
Yeah.
No, he said we can't shoot a penny in the ocean or something.
Oh yeah.
But I did see the on-court clip of him. His reaction to Russell Westbrook's shot with 17 seconds.
There's 30 seconds. It was a 2-for-1.
Oh, that was the 2-for-1. That's the one Russell Westbrook said, yeah, I was trying to go for 2-for-1. Yeah.
So I only asked because the guy asked him a question. He says, what are your feelings towards Russ going for a 2-for-1 in that situation? Would you have rather try to, get a good shot as opposed to the 2-for-1, or are you okay with the 2-for-1? Like, how do you feel about it? And LeBron I'm not even going to answer that because I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to create this division and trying to create this whole narrative that the media has, or Russell Westbrook and me and all this other stuff. And no, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to do that. And I don't know. I felt his response. He could have answered. Him being loud about it said more to me than he'd be like, hey, it's a 2-for-1 situation. It was a mid-range shot. If he would have hit it, maybe it would have been a different story. He didn't hit it.
Yeah, or maybe if you up 3 didn't take a step back 3 with 60 seconds left and, I don't know, penetrated to the basket, been the most physical dominant force in the NBA. Maybe that shot that Westbrook took with 30 seconds left wouldn't have mattered. I know the cool thing is to post Westbrook missing the shot, but that's cool. Scroll the video back a little bit further and look at some of the trash. I love LeBron James. Look at some of the trash LeBron took. And I'm not even counting the Dame Lillard, let me show you who I am, air ball from the logo that he missed by
gosh.
7.5 feet.
Jeez.
That was at the beginning of the game. I'm talking about the step back
Hey,
three
he really
that
did
he took
miss it by
30
7.5
seconds. Bro. And hey, whatever. Like it don't even matter. Look at the shot LeBron took 30 seconds before Westbrook's and then come back to me. I'm not saying Russell Westbrook works on the Los Angeles Lakers. He doesn't. I know my dude is playing bad. I'm saying that the Lakers are terrible. They're terrible with Russell Westbrook. They're going to be terrible without Russell Westbrook. They stink. And the reason they stink is not because of Russell Westbrook. The reason they stink is because of Rob Pelinka. The reason they stink is because of the way they've put this roster together. And again, I love the King, but LeBron's chilling. Like he's going for the scoring rate. Like he knows this team is trash. And he is not even remotely invested in this. I wonder if LeBron has started talking to his camp about trading Anthony Davis because that might be the only.
I'm sure they have.
That might be the only way to get this better, man.
I'm sure they have. I heard that response. It's one of those things where like when you're really, that sounds like you're being really loud to throw people off the scent when that didn't even cause for you to be very loud. Like it's a simple answer. It's as simple as just saying, hey, it was a 2-for-1 situation. Thought he had a good look. He didn't, and or he didn't make it. And it is what it is.
I'm trying to find the audio of it, and I can't. And I'm just finding a series of bad LeBron James shots. So like
I think it was Wobe who had it. Worldwide Wobe. That's where I saw it.
Oh, he always has that weird like off the TV audio.
Yeah.
I mean, we're appreciative of it because it's fantastic, but
I heard that, and it's just, I don't know. That's why I was getting a second opinion. I was like, did I hear that wrong, or am I making too much of it?
Did you see the Pat Bev play?
Oh my gosh,
where he like I think he got shot like Ricky and Boys in the Hood.
What an embarrassment.
He just
that was disgusting.
Like you can you get retroactively fined for that?
You should be able to. Yeah, flopping, right?
That is terrible. But they called it though, didn't they? Didn't he get the call?
Yeah, I think they did. That's nasty. That really is. It's nasty.
Oh, here. Okay, I think I found it here. Let me see if
is it.
Oh yeah, it's
would you support going for the 2-for-1, or can you be, because you already have a lead, be more selective in sort of taking your time with the possession? I don't know. I feel like
first of all, is that McMenamin? That sounds like Dave McMenamin, whose day-to-day job is to bury Russell Westbrook. Like it's literally the only thing he's written about in the last 2
We
years.
have to say something. I can tell that you guys are in the whole Russell Westbrook category right now. I don't like to lose. I hate to lose at any. I don't care what happens throughout the course of my season or throughout the course of my career. I hate to lose, and especially the way we had this game. But I give credit to Portland. You guys can write about Russ and all the things you guys want to try to talk about Russ, but I'm not up here to do that. I won't do it. I've said it over and over. That is not.
All right.
You know what just dawned on me as I heard that again? You know what I think happened? I think we talk about these things happening from time to time. I think somebody told him before he went to the podium about that clip.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they do that. Like they'll tell you,
they
like,
hey, this clip is out there right now.
You know what I noticed though? I don't know if you noticed
LeBron?
it. Do-rag LeBron! That's it! It's do-rag LeBron! When things don't go well, just throw the do-rag on for the press conference. That's it.
Do-rag LeBron.
Man, if this show's ever struggling, one day you're going to know it. Me and Kenny going to be up here in do-rags.
Do-rag LeBron.
Cattle's finally caught D'Lo and KC. Here comes do-rag D'Lo and KC. Gonna have y'all guessing the color of our do-rags every day. Yo, my man.
Hilarious. Yeah, I did notice that the second time too. When I saw him, I saw do-rag LeBron.
He's got the do-rag on.
But the reason
he's got the little knot on the side too.
Oh yeah, they doing. That's how you got to tie it to the side now. You got to tie it to the side. But
my do-rag days are behind me, bro.
The thing that made me think about that is because he just distinctly said, do-rag. He was like, yeah, I hate to lose. I never like to lose. I hate to lose. Well, who was talking about losing? Except for the fact that we saw you throw your hands up when he threw the shot. So I think that boy had more. Somebody tipped him off, and he's probably on edge a little bit about that.
Who was talking about you?
Oh, that's so great. Let's welcome in our buddy, 1320 Kings insider and creator of the Kings Beat, our man James Ham. Hammer, what's happening, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
Let's do that. Yeah, I like that look. What's going on, man? How was the trip to Chase Center last night?
It was fun. We carpooled. So, I loaded the car full of some of these young reporters, and I was the dad. I drove them all
you're
down.
A chaperone. Yeah.
Yeah, in the minivan, and it was good stuff. We had a good time. Good basketball conversation. Bad basketball to watch. I don't buy the comeback, but overall, it was good. I mean, you always forget, you do this long enough, and you forget just how much the early season takes a toll on you, going through training camp and then, one game, but then the first back-to-back and driving all the way down and back. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not a young man anymore. I feel it. I feel these back-to-backs. So, yeah, it's fun.
Hey, James, about the actual game yesterday, 89 points in the first half. Can't happen. It can't happen. Kings were getting ripped to shreds about the 89-point first half. Maybe I'm being too nice on them here a little bit, because they should still be, kind of raked over their coals for it. But the Kings had 71 and a half. And I just thought that was a little bit of how the game was being played. 89 is not good, but it's not like the Kings were just god awful and they were down 89 to 56. The game was up and down. Both teams were making shots, the shot making, the Warriors are making threes. They got in the penalty earlier, whatever the case may be. I thought it was an up and down game that lent itself to a lot of points being scored. Is that being too soft on the Kings and saying, no, it's terrible, should have played better defense? Or do you see what I'm saying a little bit?
No, I understand what you're saying, but Mike Brown brought it up in postgame. He said, how many times do we make a basket and they're scoring in transition after a made basket? He's like, that's just unacceptable. And I mean, there's something to Steph Curry getting on a heater. But even before he was hot, everyone was destroying them. So, I mean, it was back and forth. It was fun. And then the Warriors showed you who they are, and the Kings weren't able to respond. And that's partially because the Warriors have done it for years, and it's partially because the Kings haven't been together very long, and they don't know how to respond to something like that. And there's no way to defend giving up 50 points in a quarter.
No,
there's just not. There's not. And I'll be honest with you, that should have been closer to 55 or 60. That could have been 100-point half. The way that second quarter went, the Warriors just let up in the last final minute and a half, 2 minutes of the quarter. That was an absolute clinic that was put on, and didn't matter who was doing it. The Kings didn't have an answer. I kind of felt a little bad for Mike Brown because, they gave him his ring before the game, and then they reminded him who they were and who he was playing against and who he was coaching for. And then I feel like they also had a conversation about that at halftime and let off a little bit.
Oh, they did not let off him. They would have beat him by 100 if the opportunity presented itself.
I don't know. To me, that looked like
I think it's by nature a team up a big. They lack. Steph wasn't playing. The starters were out. I think, and then you had a bunch of reserves for the Kings who were like, I'm getting minutes. I'm going to make the most of them.
Yeah, but if you would have let Steph and Clay and the real Warriors play the entire third quarter, that would have been a 150, 160-point night.
Well, they wouldn't have done that to anybody, not just because it was Mike Brown there.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is that, when you look at the final box score and it says it's a 5-point game, That wasn't a 5-point game.
Well, and that's different though. That's like
Yeah.
by the run that happened in the fourth quarter, and we were talking earlier. Like I don't know what to make of it. I don't really put any stock into it. I
No.
never thought the Kings were going to win. I thought it was all right, cool. You came back. You made it interesting for like 2 or 3 possessions. But the bigger question, James, is all right. You just laid out all of the bad. Okay, how do we fix it?
Yeah, that's the biggest question that I have too. I mean, clearly Mike Brown after the game hinted that Keegan Murray was going to start moving forward. But even if he doesn't, I mean, he played 38 minutes. I mean, he leads the team in scoring in the last 2 games. I mean, not non-scoring, in minutes played in the last 2 games. And I thought Keegan, like, he needed to go through a back-to-back like that where you start to feel what it is to go through games, after, giving your all the one night and coming up short and then having to face it the next night. So I'm glad that Mike Brown did run him out there for whatever, 38 something. But yeah, I think the way you fix it is you stay together on defense and you keep getting better because this team is a work in progress. We know that. They have their basic offense, their basic defensive sets in. And they need to grow off of those. The Kings have 3 days off right here to prepare for Memphis where they can clean up a bunch of stuff. And that's good. But at the same time, Fox has been incredible. Sabonis is coming around. Keegan Murray has been like off the charts. Kevin Huerter, even though he had a bad shooting night, Kevin Huerter goes like, what do you go, 1 of 9 from 3, and he's still shooting 48% from 3 on the season. I mean, and that's even taking in consideration like small sample size stuff. That's nuts that he's still that high up. But it's time. It's time for Harrison Barnes to start playing. It's time for Davion Mitchell to snap out of it. We saw Malik Monk really start off slow the first 2 games and come around in game 3. It's time for these other guys to come around because this team does not have that type of depth for 2 or 3 of their major rotational players just to not be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think that these guys, and you look at Davion, I guess there's a little less of a sample size with him, but Harrison Barnes, the way he's playing right now is unacceptable because he's a much better player than that. And that's just not going to get it done. I want to say the same for Davion because, I think Davion is better, but, he's the second-year player. Maybe I have it wrong or something like that. But we've seen it from Harrison. It's just it's unacceptable the way he's been playing in these first 3 games, and he's got to be better, man.
I have a piece that's going to go up in just a little while, probably while we're on the air here. And I looked at some of the numbers, and the problem that I have is, you always look at a 3-game sample size and go, okay, let's be cautious here. It's the same numbers from preseason, and it's the same look from preseason. And that's when you start to go, okay, preseason means nothing, but it's still 4 games. You can still look at those 4 games and look at stats and say, okay, what went on here? And Harrison shot 2 of 16. What's
Real
that?
Quick, I'll take it a step further. It's the same. It looks the same as last year.
Well, no, I mean, defensively, maybe.
He had a 4-point performance last year, too. I know he'd have one where he'd have 25, but he looks like the same player.
Yeah, I mean,
he looks like the same.
But I'll take a player who averages 16.4 points per game and shoots 39% from 3 over a player who went 2 of 16 in the preseason from 3 and now has missed his first 5. And if you're going to play for a team that's 4th in the NBA at 40.7 3-point attempts per game, and you're the starting small forward, and you're playing 29 minutes a night, and you've only taken 5 3-pointers through 3 games, like, I'm confused. Like, where is it? Is it something wrong physically? Is it something wrong mentally? And like, I just can't imagine at this point that Harrison Barnes is just like lost it. Like he's lost a fastball, but steps to the line and shoots 53% from the free throw line. He's a career 80% shooter. So something feels off, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to fix it. but it's something that has to be addressed like very quickly because as of right now, like, does KZ Okpala deserve to lose his starting job for Harrison Barnes? I don't think he does. Like, if Keegan Murray is going to start, who should sit? And like, if you're just looking at the numbers, like, there's one guy who just, like, on the defensive end, on the offensive end, it just doesn't matter. So again, like, he's earned the right to have some leeway here, but like, your team's 0-3. Like, how many games do we have to go through where it's like, okay, what is happening here? And this can be on Mike Brown to figure out.
Any scenario where we potentially see two new guys in the starting lineup, and we've proposed, we've talked about this in the past as hypotheticals, but kind of here we are. Obviously, Keegan Murray would be one, and then Malik Monk is the other, with Kevin Huerter sliding down to the starting 3, Keegan Murray being the 4, and Malik Monk being at 2.
Yeah, I just think if you looked at the way that Monk ran the second team in this last game, that is what you were hoping for. And it's not what he scored 16 points. Like, we expect him to score. But Mike Brown talks about this too. Like, we expect De'Aaron, he's scoring 30 points a game. That's fine. Like, he's a scorer. That's what he's supposed to do. I need you to do other things. And the good thing is Fox is averaging like 5.7 rebounds per game. He's averaging 7 assists per game, but he's also playing defense. Mm-hmm. And people could argue with me. He's playing defense. I'm watching, and he is. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He's playing defense. And so when it comes to Monk, if Monk can somehow come off the bench and do anything close to what he did in this game, where, he puts up 16 points, but 8 assists and 7 rebounds, like, that's why you went out and got Monk. That's why you paid him close to $10 million a year. And so I think it's better to keep him on that second unit, because for him to be really effective, part of his game is to get those, 4 assists, 5 assists, 6 assists. That's part of who he is, and how he gets going is to get going downhill with a guy like Richaun Holmes, set him up for a couple of times, then get his own, and then like kind of go back and forth. And that's really tough to do when you're in a starting lineup with a bunch of other guys who are heavy usage, heavy minutes guys.
So with that, James, we are 3 games into the season, and I think we all agree Keegan Murray's a good enough player to start. He should be starting. It's productive enough and all this other stuff. Is there any other like minutes rotation changes that need to change, or would that be a little bit of a panicky move? Like, should the only thing that really change minutes distribution wise is Keegan's in the starting lineup now, and see what happens to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think at some point you do have to give players time to like figure out who and what they are in a new system with a new head coach. I think like we're watching Davion Mitchell really struggle to figure out who he's supposed to be playing next to Monk. And, I wrote about that, about their chemistry building during training camp, but then you get to the regular season and, Monk started struggling with his shot early on. Davion has struggled. I think Davion struggled overall. He's looking for a shot a lot. When he's looking to distribute, I think he's much better. When he's playing off ball, I think he's much better, and he needs to move off ball, which is a problem. He's not sort of finding those seams that you need to find, that you see Huerter. Like, how many times do you just look and Huerter is wide open because he's moving without the ball so well? And it's something that, guys like Davion, guys like De'Aaron, it doesn't come natural to them. They're used to playing on ball. So, yeah, I mean, as far as like blow it up, like, I don't think you can blow it up 3 games into the season. I think you have to give Davion a little bit more time. I think you've got to get Monk more time to like figure out this role, but also Richaun Holmes. Richaun Holmes, is a guy who he played better, and I think his numbers look better in this last game. But did anyone else notice that it was James Wiseman who got half of those points to start the second quarter and just absolutely was everywhere? And the whole time you're wondering where in the world is Richaun Holmes in the pick and roll? And they just got killed in the pick and roll, like one time after another after another. And so I think that you can't panic, but you need these guys to settle in and find their spots. And it's not easy. It's not easy to go from a guy who's been a starter for 3 years in Sacramento to a guy coming off the bench playing 14 minutes a night like Rashawn Holmes is. It takes an adjustment period, and it takes an adjustment period when you again aren't playing with Tyrese Halliburton, who throws a perfect lob to you every time and gets you wide open. The Kings aren't even running pick and rolls like 90% of the time. So Rashawn has to figure things out, just like I think a couple of these guys do.
I thought Rashawn was a little more aggressive yesterday, particularly. I mean, and it may be one of those cases where it felt like there was nothing on the line because it felt like for the bulk of the third quarter on that the game was over. And then, obviously it very much wasn't. And Rashawn was a part of that team that made a run, but that was the most aggressive I think he's been this offseason, this season, and it was effective. And it feels like a lot of guys haven't figured out, and you could maybe throw Harrison Barnes into this equation too. It feels like there's a handful of guys who haven't really figured out the appropriate aggression level on the offensive end yet.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I don't want to give, like, playing a new role is one thing, right? And I really do believe that for some of these guys, it's like playing a completely different role, like for a guy like Holmes. But like for a guy like Harrison Barnes, like you just can't make that excuse, because you're watching Keegan Murray, who basically plays the same position and just goes out and does his thing, So, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
there has to be
player though. Like, Keegan's a better player than Rashawn is.
Well, no, but I'm saying Harrison.
Oh,
yeah. I'm saying than Harrison. I mean, like, look, those guys play different roles. Sure, Harrison and I mean Rashawn and Keegan, they play different roles, but Keegan Murray and Harrison Barnes play the same role, and just one of them is coming in and like averaging 17.5 points a game in his first 2 games, even though he doesn't know any better. And the other's averaging 7, and those 7 aren't easy to come by. And so you're just wondering what it is where the adjustment happens, and if it can happen, or if that's not the adjustment that has to be made, that has to be more drastic. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I'm confused by what's happening with Harrison Barnes. And, we haven't really talked to him that much, but when we do, he always says, this team needs to be given the opportunity to be this year's team and not have 16 years weighing on them. And that's okay, but
he's right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that remark.
I agree, but then how am I supposed to look at Harrison Barnes, who has a 10-year track record of who he is, and then look at the players that I'm seeing now? Because that doesn't make any sense to me either. So I understand, like, giving this group the benefit of the doubt, but I also know that, the game is based on statistics and off of track records and off of, what you did last year. And, I've seen a player that I think we all respect greatly, and for who he is on and off the court, and he doesn't look like the same guy all of a sudden. And to me, that seems a little strange, especially when he's 30 years old and he's not a guy who slacks. He came in great shape. If anything, he looks a little lighter than normal. And, those are things that you just kind of look at and go, okay, I'm not sure what's happening here. It's 3 games, but it's more than that. If I go back to preseason, and I feel bad for Mike Brown in a sense, because when you walk into a season, one of the few things that you figured you did not have to worry about at all was Harrison Barnes.
So they played 3 games. They had a game that I feel like they should have won against Portland to start the season. And I don't even mean that like I was telling Damian, not like looking at the schedule beforehand. I'm watching the game. They let that one slip away at the end of the game. I think they should have brought that home. Clippers game, that was whatever. And then really a game that they weren't really in against Golden State. But I look at those 3 games, James, and I don't – obviously the only thing that matters is wins and losses. But I don't feel like they're that far away from playing, good enough basketball to be winning. Like, I don't think they're just getting worked in these games. Clippers games, they got to make their free throws. They started really slow against the Portland Trailblazers, and the Warriors just beat them, but the Warriors are the defending champions. Those things happen. Are you seeing the same thing as well, where it's not like they're playing bad basketball? They just have to tighten some things up a little bit. Is that a simple fix for you?
Yeah, no, I see where you're going with that, and I agree for the most part. Even if you look like when shots fall, you look like a different team, right? And I think in the first 2 games, shots fell. In game 3, like the 3 ball wouldn't fall, and that was a problem. Like you can't keep up, like in an arms race when you're coming out there with a slingshot. Like that's just not the way it goes, you know. And I felt like they were overmatched mainly because the shot wouldn't go. If they were hitting the 3, I mean that could have been a really epic back and forth. But you know, it's something that this team has to. There's always something that's wrong, right? And so the first 2 games, it was what you brought up. They couldn't hit a free throw, and they lost games because of missing free throws. And that's again like basic basketball 101. You can't lose a game by 2 points when you missed 11 free throws. And that's what happened with the Clippers. And again, the Portland game was the same thing. They missed way too many. I thought they improved that against Golden State. There was a better focus on that. And then they stopped hitting threes. So like we're going to have to get through this phase where guys are having, 3 guys are having great games and 2 guys are having bad games. We're going to have to get through the phase where they're just flat out blowing games on missing bunnies or basics like free throws. And then you're going to have games where you lose because you can't hit the 3. And so we've kind of seen like everything in the first 3 games. But the schedule doesn't let up. So like you would like to think that they're going to be able to sneak a win here or there, but you have to actually go out and not sneak a win. You have to go out and dominate someone. You have to do everything right for 48 minutes and show that you can do it and get the first win so you can start building on something. And I think that's what we're gonna see over the next couple of days. A team that's laser focused on changing the one outcome that matters, and that's the win and loss.
Is something missing from Domantas Sabonis these first 3 games?
No, I think what's missing from Domantas Sabonis is that a team tried to use a defensive player in the starting lineup, and you can't just use a guy who not only, it's not that he's a bad 3-point shooter, but KZ Okpala, I don't think he's done anything wrong. It's just that no one respects that he's going to hit a bunch of 3-point shots. So what I've seen from Sabonis is a dude that is getting double teamed almost every single time he touches a ball. And if you want to gum up the Kings, you just surround him with people. Has he missed some easy shots? Sure, he's missed some easy shots, but the easy shots that he's missing is trying to fight through like a 7-foot brute that's beating on him the entire time. And I think that like watching him in the first 3 games, every single time you look, he's just getting smacked and held. And the fact that the Kings don't have 5 guys on the floor that can beat you, one being him, but 4 other guys that can beat you, it just allows the other team to sink off and really get on Sabonis and make him pay the price. And so we're just not seeing the flow, the movement that I think we will see once Keegan Murray is in the starting lineup. And I'll even say this, like, I think the biggest issue with the Harrison Barnes situation is if you have Barnes and KZ Okpala who aren't doing anything from the 3-point line, like there's just not going to be any spacing. And Fox has been able to hit his threes through the first 3 games, so that's great. So that's at least helped. Herder's been phenomenal shooting the 3 ball, but you can't have 2 guys who are non-factors on the offensive end in your starting lineup. And unfortunately, one of those guys happens to be Harrison Barnes, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the situation you're in at this point.
Yeah, I agree with those things that you said, for sure. I also want to see him be a little bit more aggressive, with his shot. At least, like I said, I've seen the 10-minute breakdown or the highlights of Clippers Kings. I want to go back and watch the whole game. But the last game last night, and then the game against the Blazers, I felt he was around the basket and was doing this thing where he's pivoting all over the place, looking for somebody to, pass it to. I want to see him be more aggressive around there. You're a skilled big man. Nurkic is a little bit bigger than you, but other than that, you're just as big, if not bigger than these other guys. I feel that he's starting off the season looking to pass a little too much. One of the things that also makes you special is the fact that you could average 18, 19 points a night. Look for your shot. That's how this offense works as well. And I understand he's being double teamed, but I even go on some of these offensive boards. Like he'll get the offensive board and be pivoting around and looking to kick out finish. I need you to finish. So
I get it.
More aggressive, a little bit more selfish.
Yeah, I mean there definitely have been some bunnies. I know, what did he shoot? He started 3 of 10 in the previous game, but it goes back to
so many of them at the rim.
He did, but none of them were unguarded. I mean, all of them were like contested, and the point I'll continue to get back to is that they aren't just double teaming him like when he gets the ball and he starts to back down. They're double teaming him almost the whole time. So they're stopping him from making passes. They're stopping him from scoring at the bucket. They're also 2 guys standing there to keep him off the boards. And so he hasn't had one of those breakout games where he's grabbing everything. He had a 13 rebound game. But it plays into the same thing. If the spacing is bad, the spacing is bad. And they're collapsing the lane, which means he can't just muscle through everybody and get to the ball every time and grab the rebounds that you're expecting. I expect a lot of this to get figured out. And, I'm not hitting any panic button. You look at the schedule, you hope that they would be 1-2, but you're going up against Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers on opening night. You hope that you could have got that game, but they made mistakes and they lost it. And so now you got to figure out where you can figure out a place to get a win and then see if you can build off of that. That's a funny statement. Yeah, it's time to fire Luke Walton.
To the time to fire Luke Walton message that appeared.
Yeah.
Get Buddy out of the starting lineup.
Get Buddy out of here. Trade Marvin. What are you waiting for, Monty? We'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this Kings 0-3 start. We'll find out where James' head is at with this team and what the next couple of days may look like as we continue here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. 2 quick notes here real quick. When we sign off of the radio, we'll have to sign off on the live stream immediately. We have a 4:00 interview with Jonathan Abrams. So as soon as say goodbye, we're going to say goodbye. So just a quick note on that. We hate doing that to you, especially when James is here. Other note, Connor asks, KC, where can I get that shirt? You can get that beautiful piece of merchandise over at DeLoandKC.com. That's DeLoandKC.com. You can also get this beautiful piece of merchandise over at DeLoandKC.com, and you can get James Ham's wonderful hoodie over at thekingsbeat.com. So there you are, Connor. We appreciate you, man. That new design's going over pretty well. I'm glad people are digging it.
Nice. Yeah, I don't want to be doom and gloom. It's 3 games into the season, and I'm gonna be a straight shooter. There are plenty of things that you can fix. I totally think you can tinker and fix, but it will come down to a point. Do you have the talent? Do the pieces fit? And, again, we keep the last 2 years, I've been saying you need another Harrison Barnes at least. You can't lose one and not have one. It kind of feels like you lost one and you replaced it with one. Maybe Keegan's a little bit better version, which, through 2 games he has been, but that's kind of the player that you need. And if Harrison Barnes decides he's not going to be that player anymore, it's like, man, that's tough. It's tough because it's unexpected,
Yeah.
You thought you had a couple of months to figure this out.
Yeah.
And now you're in a position where you don't have a couple of months. Harrison missed was it the Clippers game? He missed a dunk in the final seconds. And then the Jeremy Grant play where he went right through Harrison to score the winning basket in the final minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right at him. A rock bobblehead.
I didn't even look through the first 2 games of the season. because Harrison didn't play that much in this last game because the game got out of control. I know people are like, why aren't they putting Sabonis back in? It's like, because the Warriors are just tricking this game off in the second half. Yeah, he played 31-21 in the first and 34-29 in the second and dropped down to 21. So he's averaging 29 minutes a game. But those 29 minutes are a bit skewed because of the last game.
And by the way, I see my boy Connor in here. That's Mother Shirt. You know what we did on Saturday, Connor? Smashed them boys. Going to the semifinals. Who we playing in the semis?
These videos are going to get flagged because you keep doing that.
I can't remember who it is, but it doesn't matter. My boy Roro and the whole crew, they're going to be ready. Let's go. Let's effing go. Sac Republic. About to smash these boys.
And your Sac State. Oof.
Stingers up.
Bravo. Bravo, Sac State.
David Patrick tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Nice. You got to get what's the running back's name? Skippo?
Cameron. You talking about Cameron?
Scatterbo.
Yeah,
Scatterbo.
Scatterbo.
Yeah. Get him on, man. College athletes.
Probably could. Yeah.
Yeah. That dude reminds me of like Mike Allstott.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
Lazy, chill. Chill.
Man.
Good stuff. You weren't here for the wet spot on the floor conversation.
Oh my gosh.
There was
Oh my God.
I can't remember. There was wet spot and there was one other line.
Oh, I said something else.
In the wood.
Yeah.
In the wood. Yeah.
Lay in the wood.
It got bad.
Yeah.
It got bad. It got really bad.
It did. It did get bad. But it was when Sabonis he slipped down on the floor. Well, first he got knocked down, and then when he got knocked down, his sweat was everywhere, and then he got up and fell down like I think 2 or 3 times. It was like Keystone Cop stuff on the wet spot on the floor. Yeah.
Let's hit the wet spot, not once.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh my!
How much? How much time do we have? I can tell a funny story.
We're back. The show's we're live on the radio, so everyone calm down. Calm down. We're having a moment here in the chatty house. Twitch.tv/ESPN1320, YouTube.com/ESPN1320. Wherever you're listening, we appreciate you so much for being here.
It's like dealing with a sophomore class.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. All right, 3 games in, James. We know the schedule ahead. It's tough. Been saying for days now they're going to have to beat a good team. They've got the Grizzlies coming up. They've got Miami coming up a couple of times. Where are you at? Like, what is your honest assessment right now of the Sacramento Kings?
Well, I mean, they have to split the next 2 games. They have to find a way. Like, if you finish 0-10 in your first 10 games, like, there ain't no excuses there. Like, that we start like figuring out what size shoe Victor Wembanyama wears. Like, that's like, you got to start changing your mind on what this season looks like. I don't know, 0-10. Maybe not 0-10 because I think they can pick up a couple of wins, and but even still, like 2-8, 3-7, like that's not great, and the season could turn pretty quickly if they don't look out. I guess the one thing you could look at is the way that the Pelicans turned the corner last year and became a much better team.
The other thing, and I mentioned it earlier, James, you were there for it. The year, I think it was George Karl's first full year. It was the year he got cursed out by DeMarcus Cousins. Drake came into the locker room. Then they start 1-8. Then they start like 1-8, 1-9. Then they obviously didn't make the playoffs. But there was a moment in January, I remember specifically, where they went into sole possession of the A spot, right?
Well, the year they traded DeMarcus Cousins, they were a game out at the All-Star break when they traded him.
But wasn't was that the same year?
No,
I remember
the next year.
I remember
That's Jaeger's first year where they got all the way back.
No, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The year they started 1-8 or 1-9, whatever it was with Karl, they came back at some point to salvage the season a little bit and be in the A spot. So like even if they start 3-7, 2-8, it's not good. It's not what you want, but it's not. I wouldn't go to Victor at that point. Like just start playing one game at a time, playing better basketball.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. If you look at the front half of the schedule, the first 10 games, the one good thing is that, they did start 1-8 under George Karl, or 1-7 under George Karl. And they did claw back in. The one good thing, though, about when you play 10 really tough games to start the season, that means you got 10 really tough games out of the way. And so that's a good thing. I mean, the Kings faced the Warriors, 3 times in the first 11?
Yeah.
Or first 12. I mean, that's really not all that great for anyone. It's just, that's tough. So you got to find a way to battle through and to pick your spots. Again, the one game that really stands out is a Portland game, but just as easily they could have won the Clippers game, and then we're not having sort of this panic moment with this team. And even still, I don't really panic about the 0-3 start as much as I do the production of some of the players. That's a much bigger issue. It's a much bigger thing that stands out than anything. Like, where do you go from here? And how do you get someone going? How do you try to, change whatever's happening and make a difference? And I'm not sure. Like somebody asked Mike Brown last night about Harrison, about what was going on with him. And he said, well, that's kind of a question for him. And it was like, okay, well then the question for you is, why do you keep playing him? Like that's the next question that's coming your way, because if you don't want to, talk about what might be going on with the player, then at some point that player shouldn't be playing. And that decision, if you don't make it, is on you. It doesn't matter who it is on this team. If De'Aaron Fox doesn't want to hit a 3-pointer for 2 weeks, then I wouldn't, and he's not putting up numbers, then, it goes for everybody. Sabonis, it doesn't matter who it is. Somebody has to answer for that. And if the player isn't, maybe the player will say something. I know last night Harrison was tied up during post game and was having a conversation with another reporter that we weren't able to get in on, and so we didn't go over and have a conversation with him. But that conversation is coming. It's got to be this week. Just like what in the world is happening, because that's not something that's typical. So yeah, again, I don't want to panic about the 0-3 start, because those things happen. It's that you got to start to wonder where a couple of your players are.
Yeah.
We're big on vibes, James.
They do. They don't have bad vibes. I don't think there's, like Sabonis said, hey man, we're fine. We're totally fine. And Fox, I think his quote could have been taken out of context. That's why I put it up with the video. But he basically was saying like, hey, it doesn't matter if I'm averaging 31 points a game. It doesn't matter, like, if we're not winning. Like, it wasn't like a derogatory thing he was saying. He was saying like, look, no, like, it's fine that I'm averaging that, but I don't care. I want to win. And, whatever it takes to win. And I think he's been really good. He's been doing everything in his power to win. Even when I saw him come back in the game against the Warriors, he didn't come in looking to steal the thunder and be the hero. He came in trying to continue what was happening and facilitate for his teammates and get them even easier shots and better looks. And that's what I saw from him. It's just, a few shots didn't fall.
I think it's really important that Mike Brown for one, but also somebody in that locker room. When I say locker room, I mean players. Multiple people can do it. Keeps these guys locked in and focused. And maybe they won't have a problem with it at all because it's just a different group of guys and they can do that. But let's just say, for argument's sake, they start 0-5. You know, these conversations and these type of thoughts should be happening right now. Let's just say they start 0-5, but they play the same way they've been playing. I think it's very important for them to understand no need to panic. We're on the right track. Okay, we're on the right track with how we're playing the game. There are things where we're not taking care of business that could be costing us wins and losses, whether it's missed free throws or a couple of minutes of lackluster defense or anything. Those could be costing, but it's not the whole operation. It's not like all this work we've been putting in since we came to Sacramento early is for naught. We're just, we just think we can't get it done. It's just a little fine tuning. I think it's really important for Mike Brown and some of the leaders in that locker room to make sure everybody understands that and stays on that same type of wavelength.
Yeah, Mike Brown mentioned, I think it was sometime this last week, that one of the first things that he did was to build in a leadership council, like on the team. So it's Sabonis and Fox and Barnes and someone else. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Davion. But they have like a leadership council that's supposed to be there for these moments and help out. I've always said it, like, again, like, especially with the new coach, like Mike Brown, this is going to be his team early on. He's going to be the leader, the voice, all that stuff of this team. And for people who might say, well, you want Fox to step up and be some sort of leader, I'll just point to the fact that he's averaging 31.7 points, 7 assists, 5.7 rebounds. He's playing defense. He's averaging 1.3 steals. He's locking up guys. He's doing everything in his power to try to will this team to victory. And that, to me, is what a leader does. You don't have to be some stand up on a podium or on a chair and start yelling and screaming and dragging everybody in. You can have those guys, and they're great. But at the NBA level, you also need greatness. And what De'Aaron Fox has been in the first 3 games of the season is greatness. And so that's what you kind of hope that you can get. Like, if there is leadership that needs to happen, it's like, hey, jump on my back. Let's go. Let's get this win, and let's finish this thing off. And I think we've seen that from him.
James, if I said you got one reason that the Kings have lost these 3 games, could you pinpoint one? Has there been a
yeah, I mean, like, I know it's not that what a lot of people want to, it's newness. Like, if I was going to say there's one word, like, it's great and all that you're putting in a new offense and a new defense, and that you've got some, a defensive guru and all that stuff. It takes time. I mean, currently, right now, the Kings just got walloped, although it looks like a 5-point loss. That wasn't a 5-point loss. They gave up 130 points. They're 20th in the league or 19th in the league in defensive rating right now. That shows you that they're making improvements. Last season, they were 27th overall. Right now, they are. They finished last year at 25th in offensive rating. They're 15th in offensive rating right now. Like, the signs are there that this team is not nearly as bad as they are. Like, their net rating, they're a negative 3.9, and there are teams with winning records that don't have a negative 3.9 net rating between, the offensive rating and the defensive rating. Again, you're getting beat by the stupid things that, like, if you would have told me that they lost 2 games almost exclusively because they missed free throws.
See, that's the thing. That's what I was looking for, because I'm not buying the newness thing so much, especially when the Utah Jazz are 3-0. Now, I don't think that's going to last, but the fact is, three games into the season, the Utah Jazz, with a completely different roster, or for the most part, and a new head coach, has beaten 3 pretty good teams to start the season. That's more of what I was looking for when you look at the fact that they and we talked about this, James, all preseason. You were going to lose a regular season game by missing your free throws, and you could probably make an argument they might have lost 2.
No, I think they did. Yeah. I mean, it's just sitting there. Like, that's the low-hanging fruit. I'll also say that, like, the Kings have put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they understand the schedule that's in front of them. The Utah Jazz have They're just all like, hey, let's go out there and play so we too can get traded somewhere else. I mean, that's what they're doing. You got a bunch of guys who there's no pressure on that team. No, and they know that this is short-lived and that there's no way that they can keep doing this. They can have the me against the rest of the world mentality all they want. Danny Ainge will like smell that out from his office and go, oh no, that's not what we're doing here. You're all getting traded now. That is what it is. Like They have no interest in what's happening. But there's also, you have a bunch of players who go in and a bunch of teams that walk into a team against a team like Denver who have such lowered expectations about what their evening is about to be like. And then they're getting thumped because they're not paying attention. They're not ready. They're not game planning enough for a team that, again, they're NBA players. There are guys who are going to go out there who like didn't get the memo about this team being bad and trying to lose every game.
Yeah.
Kamara tweeted, our guy Kamara tweeted, the Jazz are 1 win away from Danny Ainge trading for Russell Westbrook.
Oh,
heck yeah.
Even that's unnecessary, but that's pretty.
That was clever. But James, yeah, to that point though, to like what you talked about with the Kings. I mean, I said this earlier in the show as well. Do you want to start the season off better? Absolutely. Absolutely do. You want to start the season off better. That feels better, even if they were 1-2 or whatever the case may be. Do you buy what I'm about to sell to you? And that's that this is no different than games 52, 53, and 54. It's a 3-game stretch where they lost 3 games. It feels a little different because it's the first 3 games we've seen, and this is all you have to go on. But at the same time, it's 3 games on an 82-game schedule, and they've lost all 3. Newsflash, they'll probably go another time on this schedule where they'll lose 3 games, and probably 2 of them they should have won, and we'll be frustrated. Now, at that point, we may not stress as hard because they may be 2 games over 500 or something like that. It's part of the schedule. It happens.
Yeah, I buy what you're selling. I'll say the one downer, though, is you had a really good buzz going in Sacramento, and I think that tickets were about to be really hard to come by in Sacramento. And if you get to game 40 and this team hasn't really like made the shift where they are actually succeeding and actually like close to the 500 mark or like, like they're showing that they're pacing, then you're going to start playing in front of fewer and fewer and fewer fans. Mm-hmm. And that to me is part of, the Kings haven't been a good home court team at Golden One Center at all. But like, man, the crowds the first 2 games have just been incredible. Yeah. Like even if you look at Saturday night, I mean, how many people were at the Republic game? How many people were at the Sac State game? That was still, if it wasn't a sellout, it was really, really close. It was a great, energetic crowd. It's a lot easier to win those games than when you're playing in front of 7,000 fans and there's ambivalence and you hear from fans every single shot you miss. You're hearing something. We've already had 2 ref you suck like chants in the first 2 games that were like loud and crazy and boisterous. Like the fans have really been engaged and like fully in. So that's one of the things I worry about. Like you keep losing games and they end up spending their money elsewhere.
Nothing unites fans more than bad officiating.
That's right. on the home opener, I was walking around for a quick second and ended up stopping and talking to somebody I knew. And we were by the fence. There was this one really belligerent fan. Like he was going in on the rest. I said, "Settle down, pal." In my head, it's not my job to tell him real like.
You didn't go over and like
that ain't my job. That's not what I do. I'm not here quality control. But in my head, I was like, "Settle down, pal."
Yeah,
we were adamant about the refs on that night at least.
The refs have been like they've drawn the ire, and again, I don't think that there's been a single game where the refs really impacted the game at all. I mean, the Terrence Davis play, I guess
that was terrible.
I guess, but again, you got to know better. And Terrence took it on himself. He didn't blame the officials. He knew. So yeah,
well,
I mean that wasn't great.
Thing to do, but it was still there was no need for that call.
Yeah,
there was no need for it.
It was bad. Absolutely.
Yeah. Not great.
And even the Sabonis kickball. I mean, he did kick it with his foot, but
I was able to break that one down. No, he popped that thing up with his foot to his hand.
No, he did, but I'm trying to remember the play. Did Davion have control of that? Like, did he tap it out?
He tried to pass it to his teammate that was over by the Kings bench, and Domas ran by, and instead of leaning all the way down and scooping it up with his hand, he stuck his instep out and popped it up maybe 6 inches off the floor to his hand. He just served it up to himself. Yeah.
No, he absolutely did. I was just trying to remember. I couldn't remember if Damian Lillard had control of the ball when he did that.
No.
Remember, he fell and he was a little bit of a scramble. I couldn't remember now.
Yeah, it was a scramble, and then it would have been a breakaway. That would have been a huge moment too. Yeah, it's just it's a game of inches.
Game. This was the wet spot game.
Sophomore class. Bring it back.
I just want to make sure I got the games lined up. This was the wet spot game.
Definitely.
Nurkic repeatedly threw him to the ground over and over and over and over and over again. What do you think happens Thursday? Not necessarily in terms of wins or losses. Do you think Keegan starts Thursday? That's my belief.
I'm going to say yes. Yeah. I mean, he's just been so good.
Maybe a tougher question. Who do you think Keegan starts for?
I think he starts for KZ. I think that, again, this is going to be about trying to get Harrison right and trying to figure out how you get him involved. But, again, it's not just that he's 0 for 5 from 3 on the season. It's that he's only taken 5 threes for a team that's taken something like 122.
Wow.
Yeesh. And I mean, he's a guy who's averaging 29 minutes a game. There's only so many minutes on an NBA court, and you need everybody firing away, and especially if that's who you are as an offense. It just, again, most of it just doesn't make sense. So
I mean, even with that being who you are as an offense, you take one shot in a game. You're small forward. What are we doing? It's got to be. He's a better basketball player than that, man. He's got to be better. He has to be better.
Yeah. I do have a good story we can close out with. Our good friend Mark Spears. He decided to sneak up behind me yesterday while we were at the Warriors game, and take his fingers and jam them into my ribs and to startle me. He did miss that I had just poured a cup of hot tea and was trying to bring it over to set it down and put the lid on it. So when he did that, he shook my tea all over my hand, burned the whole back of my hand.
Mark Spears, domestic terrorist.
Master. And he thought that he had startled me, what is going on? I'm like, once I spilt one drop, I literally shook so bad the entire cup of tea went all over my hand, and I had just poured it out of one of the little orange spouts. So it wasn't some 3-hour old hot water. Yeah. It literally, as I was pouring it, I read there's a little digital readout that says, caution, water is 200 degrees out of spout. Jeez. And I'm sitting there pouring oh yeah, I'm going to be cautious. And as soon as I turn around,
oh no.
Yeah, he felt super bad. Yeah, it's okay. I survived. I was still able to drive all the kids home in the minivan and get us all back with the burned hand. But yeah, that was our event on Sunday night.
Tell Mark Smears Kenny Smith would never do that. That's a very, very inside joke that we're just gonna end the show on that. We appreciate you so much for being with us. Become a premium subscriber over at the Kings Beat. Subscribe to the Kings Beat podcast. Check out thekingsbeat.com. Check out D'Lo and KC as well, wherever you get podcasts from. And most of all, make sure that you're back here with us tomorrow at noon on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Go Kings still.
Clear. Good stuff, man.
Good stuff.
All right, guys, we've got to end the stream and go over to our other broadcast because we got an interview in 4 minutes. Hit the thumbs up before you go. Hit the subscribe buttons before you go. And we appreciate you so much. Definitely don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Go to DLoandKC.com and keep the faith. We'll see you guys tomorrow.